You're watching TBPN. Today is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. We are back in the TBPN Ultra Dome, the temple of technology, the fortress of finance, the capital of capital. Rough day yesterday, rough day today. Our show, we're going to stick to covering tech and finance news, but there are some fantastic journalists out there who are, and media outlets who are unpacking the Charlie Kirk story and its implications, new developments as they unfold. So we want to recommend following those folks if you are interested in that story. We just want to say rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And sending prayers to his loved ones and family and everyone in his life. It's absolutely devastating.
Yeah. So today we're going to be catching up on the news that we touched on over the last 2 days, but we're pretty swamped with Y Combinator Demo Day. Had a great time there. Interviewed a ton of founders, and I like the change that we did this year where we asked everyone their favorite entrepreneur, everyone how they made their first dollar. I saw some folks posting that, like the meme of us asking that question on X to other people.
Yeah.
And so it seems like we sort of broke through with that.
It was interesting to see how many patterns there were in that from trading.
The opposite. I thought there was no. Oh yeah. So there was a huge pattern in the how you made your money. There was like almost no pattern in who's your favorite entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like all Elon and Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And it was like all over the place. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, the patterns and the how they made their first money. It was Minecraft servers.
Yeah. Oh, there was definitely eras, right?
And so many different eras.
Yeah. Some crypto traders, and then some people who definitely just took the question as like, well, like after I started the business, I made a sales call, and we were like, that wasn't really what we were asking, but we're in the lightning round, so we're just going to move on. Anyway, stay tuned. We will be putting together a recap video of both of those questions soon, and so you can get the full view of that, and of course, you can watch our coverage from the New York Stock Exchange or YC Demo Day in the feed. Or
yesterday was a strange show.
Yep.
It was amazing to speak with Sebastian, the founder and CEO of Klarna. I think his story is amazing.
Yeah.
He's just very cool. I think I came away from that feeling like people generally have a lot of misconceptions around the category.
Yep.
I'm not going to go out and make the case that it's some incredible business, but I do believe this is a business that will, continue to compound and be a much bigger business in, a decade from now. I don't think it's going anywhere, but the kind of his intentionality and like why the company even needed to exist, should exist, all these different things.
My most botched interview question was asking Andrew Reed, like, what was it like investing in Klarna? He's like, well, I was a child because it was 15 years ago.
I was a boy.
I didn't, I mean, he was in college, but I didn't realize how
it was a
long
few years. They made the investment, I think, like 4 or 5 years before he joined the firm.
Yeah. So,
but obviously they ended up investing more money.
Yeah, but still, it was just wild. And
we
missed everyone in chat. It was rough. We're going to figure out how to get chat involved when we're on the road. We're still figuring that out. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. Back to the normal schedule. John Exley's here. You know it's a good
great
day
to
when
see you
John
guys.
is
We
in
missed
chat. We got David, Kyle,
chat.
Techno Chief. We see you, Techno Chief, Siraj, and a bunch of other folks. David.
Yesterday being
it's the nature of live TV.
Yeah, it's the nature of live
Very
TV.
rough. Yeah.
But
anyway, let me tell you about ramp.com. Time is money. Save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place. They hit $1 billion in ARR. We have been asking Eric Lyman, the CEO of Ramp, is the job finished? He confirmed with us on the phone that it's not finished. So if you sign up for Ramp, just know he's going to keep building. Anyway. We need to dive into the Apple and the iPhone announcement briefly. Obviously, this has been talked about. It happened a couple days ago. But the post that stuck out to me, there were a few about the design, but the big one was that the iPhone 17 Pro now has more graphics power than an M2 MacBook Air. This is a MacBook Air. I don't know if this might be the M3 or M4 version.
Wouldn't have clocked you as an Air guy.
I just went for it because I was like, I'm traveling more. I'm less in workstation mode, and so like let me give this one a try. And let me see. I have the M4, so I think I have more power here than the iPhone 17 Pro. But even just 2 years ago, it's crazy to think how quickly the chips are shifting from workstation, which is huge. Laptop to phone, and so I wanted to talk about what the downstream implications of this are. And
did you see the camera functionality? Apparently, if you take you can take a photo holding your phone vertically, and it will give you the landscape,
horizontal. Yeah, because again, I think it's a square sensor that's maybe 48 megapixels.
How are you feeling about the orange? Do you think this is Tim Cook signaling that he's a BTC maxi?
Oh, I thought it was him giving a little nod to Gary Tan at Y Combinator.
That's one or the other.
Clearly,
I had to be one or the other.
Yeah,
it is the colors. I like orange. I think it's an underrated color in general, but still the color options were interesting. Like matte. You would have thought they would have done a matte black.
They didn't do matte black this year. They just wow. So they have a silver and a black and like a blue, I think, something like that. I like orange. I think it's a cool, bold color. I think it's one of the ways to stand out. It's McLaren orange,
McLaren orange.
Looks like F1. Maybe it's a nod to that. Who knows? But they're having fun with it. Hopefully next year, the color I'm pulling for, ramp yellow. Can you imagine the ramp yellow iPhone? It just might happen. Maybe we'll make it happen. But on the tech side, people were pretty there were a couple takes early that were pretty bearish, nothing changed, and Ben Thompson summed it up pretty well.
Tim Cook.
You had a funny banger about this.
I mean, Tim Cook posted. He did post. The morning of, and he was like, "Days like this make Apple." Basically hyped it up as though it was going to be this sort of dramatic announcement, and I think people were pretty let down.
At this point, if it's not a change in the overall form factor, like you're going to folding phone, it's not going to be as easy just to talk about completely. But at the same time, it has a bunch of improvements that I think will have downstream effects that might be interesting and might actually have kind of these viral moments, and I'll get into my thesis here. So it has a vapor chamber in it that allows it to cool. So if you're in the sun or you're running some heavy duty app, you're not going to get your phone's not going to be as hot anymore. 50% more RAM, obviously that's important for AI. And then they have a new chip that's designed with the LLM transformer architecture in mind. So the Apple A series of chips, they've always been somewhat AI optimized, but more for just broader machine learning tasks. Now, they're doing the same thing that OpenAI is doing with NVIDIA and Broadcom on chip design, same thing that Google DeepMind TPU team is doing over at Google, and Anthropic's working with Amazon and Trainium.
Here's my post introducing iPhone 4000, a newer, better iPhone that's lighter, faster, newer, and better. by
How many? Where did this land? How many likes did this wind up getting? 6,000.
6,000.
And the funny story here, the little inside baseball, Jordy posted this exact post like 5 minutes earlier.
Well, so I originally had this post as a draft.
Yeah.
And then I altered it.
Yep.
And I posted it, and I had a different picture, and I did iPhone 472, and it was just completely flopping. It got like one like on like 300 impressions. Like people hated it.
Yep.
The timeline hated it.
Yep.
I just went back to this version, posted it, and then it completely ripped. So never give up. Never give up. If you think you have a good bit.
But the funny thing here, I mean, obviously it is funny that Apple always comes out and is like, it's our most powerful iPhone ever. Because it's like, well, if it was if you guys messed up and accidentally created a less powerful iPhone, you would just keep selling the current one. You're never going to come out and be like, this year we're selling one, the latest iPhone, but it's less powerful. Because just sell the last one then. Just be like, no new iPhone, because we couldn't make it any more powerful.
iPhone.
Yeah,
we actually made it. We made it perfect.
We made it perfect. So we're
I mean,
sell that.
how are you feeling about the Air? I think that's going to sell incredibly well.
I don't know. I'll need to like feel it and try it. I've never had any iPhone that's not just like the biggest and most of like the biggest screen, the maxed out one. I've always gone for like the most power, the biggest one. I've actually considered carrying an iPad mini just as a phone because I'm so big that my pockets are big enough to carry an iPad
just put it in
mini.
your back pocket.
Yeah, no. I was feeling it and I was like, you can get it with cell service. And so I think you can get a phone number on there. And so you can just have like pull out your giant iPad mini. But I never did that. I've always just stuck to like the Pro Max, the big one with the big screen, but it's easy. I don't know. The interesting thing about the iPhone Air was this, the whole computer is in the camera bump now. And basically everything that drops down is just battery and screen all the way down. And so people are wondering, like, they could clearly take out the battery and the screen and maybe make like a pin. Like they're getting so good at miniaturizing like what it means to be a computer that they can put that in all sorts of different things.
I would have been really excited to have an iPhone that will sit flat on a surface without a case on it.
Yeah.
I haven't used cases in many years. I just like the feeling of the phone.
It is crazy
and
that they've
so
never
funny
tried
that it's just perpetually like on, it just give me like a flat surface. Like I'm happy for the phone to be as thick as necessary to just give me a flat surface.
And it looked like they were going to do that with the iPhone Pro because it has this wider notch. So at least if you did the notch evenly all the way across,
it might be nice if it's kind of like sitting at an angle.
That's fine, I guess. I don't know.
But it's also so funny the idea of like you have this incredible camera.
Yeah.
And then you're just like putting it on, like, they really want you to buy a case. Like it's like a lot of the product design seems driven by.
I don't think that's the real reason.
I think it's
genuinely like people don't like heavy phones, and so you have to balance like you need the optics of a camera that's certain thickness, and then you need the phone to be thin so that people actually carry it around and aren't like this thing's heavy. Tinfoil hat, yes, is case. I just don't think they make that much money. How much money do you think they make from cases a year?
I mean, they're adding. What percentage of people do you think when they go to buy an iPhone buy an Apple case?
I would estimate that it's less than 1% of their overall revenue. Cases, yeah. Less than
totally, 1%. But you're talking to the goat of profit maximization, Tim Cook.
There's just so many other ways. I feel like you could sell 1% more iPhones if you actually choose this odd choice. Because people are like, well, yeah, it's the lightest iPhone. It's lighter than the Samsung one. It's thinner. It's lighter. It looks great. And then there might be something about like the notch kind of holding on your finger, and so you can actually hold the phone easier with that as opposed to if it was just like fully smooth. Anyway,
but I mean, when you start thinking of when you start like the incremental sales from like design-driven decisions like this, I do think it'd be significant. But
anyway, huge keynote filmed on an iPhone. Obviously, a lot less graphics this time around. If you're doing a keynote, do it on Restream. One live stream, 30+ destinations, multi-stream, and reach your audience wherever they are.
And we have a bunch of people joining from the Restream waiting room.
Oh yeah,
later today. We're going to have Josh from Lightspeed, Nico Rosberg.
Look at that lineup.
Maybe joining.
Wow.
Mike and Nir from Oboe.
Amjad.
Amjad from Replit. Alex
news.
from Higgsfield. Stefan Cohen from Bain Capital Crypto. Rohan from Sphinx AI. Timothy Luchini from Intramotev. Marc from Nebius, who just signed the 2017-ish $1 billion deal with Microsoft.
Huge.
And then, of course, Michael from Figure, who just IPO'd today on the NASDAQ, and the stock is trading up, I believe, 35% right now. So
Very
he
exciting.
is going to be joining us as well.
Yep. So my take on the iPhone Pro was we're getting to the point where you could run an LLM on device, and even if it's not Apple Intelligence, through that API, just the ability to actually distill something that's like GPT-4 level and have it be free. Not even an API call that you need, not even cheap on a per token basis, but actually just have something that you can basically drag and drop.
Cost of the energy.
Cost of the energy, and no one thinks about it because they charge on the edge because they charge their phone every night anyway.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Tyler about this earlier. Try and put into context how powerful an LLM running on device could be with this next iPhone. Because currently people have done it. I feel like people have distilled models to the point where they can run locally on phones, but if they're not fast or they're not smart. But it feels like we might be at a point where you get like to some sort of like Turing test passing plus not waiting
Chad
forever.
is asking if it's Nico Rosberg.
It is.
F1
It is
champion.
Nico
Yes,
Rosberg.
it is.
The former F1
Formula
world
One world champion. And now a capital allocator.
Now a capital allocator. Tyler, what is your take as this gets into people's hands? How solid do you think the actual interactions with LLMs could be on device?
So I think it's 12 gigabytes now. Up from 8.
Yep.
So you can probably run like a very solid 7 billion parameter, not super quantized model. We've had those for a long time that are very solid. Obviously they're going to pass Turing tests, whatever.
Sure.
You're probably not going to be using it for doing your hard physics homework.
Yeah.
But most things that you want from a non-device model, helping look at your emails or doing stuff that you would think of like a really good Siri product would do.
Yep.
I think it's totally capable of doing that. It's I don't think that Apple Intelligence was bad because the hardware was lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It was it'll be a little bit slower probably to run on cloud maybe.
Yeah, with my experience with Apple Intelligence it was just instantiated in very odd ways. They didn't really have a killer app there, and it was a bunch of different things that kind of piped in, and you could highlight text and then just say rewrite this, all sort of very incremental gains.
Botch summaries.
Yeah, the summaries are botched, but sometimes that might be the best feature actually.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
It's a feature, not a bug.
We just saw one in our group chat where I posted some fake news and Apple summarizes it as
Gabe says shouldn't Tyler be back in school? Gabe, you must have missed the episode, but
he's
Tyler
taking a gap semester.
Taking a gap semester. He is riding with us.
Yeah. And so I think there's something magical about getting the ability to inference a GPT-4 level model on the edge for free. You can quibble about the level of intelligence that is, but it is actually too cheap to meter because you won't even have to set up an API key. And so you can vend in a GPT-4 level model and then go viral and not have a bill show up and not need to think about monetization, not need to think about anything that's a drag on your just pure virality. You can have a free app that just grows and grows and grows and figure out the monetization later. And I feel like this sets us up for maybe something interesting to happen in consumer. We haven't really had that that moment of, you remember the Lenza moment, the magic avatars? You upload your picture and it turns you into Superman or something, and then the Studio Ghibli moment. We haven't had that many like viral apps that are purely based on LLM interactions, like text interactions. There's been a couple, like there was one called like Generative Dungeon. Do you remember this? It was like a dungeon crawler text thing. So it would say like, you walk up to the dragon's lair. What do you want to do? And you could just type like, I brandish my sword. And then it would say like the dragon.
That was like GPT-2.
That was super low level, right? So imagine that plus like, but you can do it on device at a reasonable level, and you can bring in some other UI elements from the iPhone, bring in the camera, bring in GPS, bring in, all the other tools that are available just in the iOS, like Swift, like, developer kits, the SDKs. I feel like there will be a ton of people that are just building cool, interesting things on the iPhone that could potentially like go viral and then become real businesses.
Yeah, I don't think this will be that like meaningful for like Apple Intelligence, because it's not like that's like a product issue. It's not like a hardware issue. But yeah, I definitely think for like third-party developers, this will be like pretty big. Yeah, you can do like if you make some random game, you can now have like avatars or whatever.
Yeah,
like if you make the SDK really easy, where like it's very easy to inference an LLM.
Yep.
You don't have to like figure out how to like download and then do inference and all that stuff. If they like abstract that away, I think it could be interesting.
And I just feel like we've seen there's been so many companies. We talked to some folks at Demo Day who are doing this, where they were like, we have this cool AI agent that like scrapes your emails and does this, and it's all predicated on you installing a Mac app, which is a really, really hard thing to do. Whereas like,
how many Mac apps do you think you've installed this year?
Oh, it's super rare. It's super rare. I got something to put the decks together. Like I literally have a Chrome. Like that's the one I installed. Yeah. I'm looking at my home row, and it's just Chrome.
Well, and this is why everybody's obsessed with the browser.
Truly, because if you can get people over there, then you're there. But I have installed apps, and I've installed little tiny apps. We were talking about the workout tracking app Strong, that I saw my friend at the gym. He was using an app to track his workouts. I said, what app is that? I went and downloaded it. You went and downloaded it. It was very easy for that app to like loosely go viral, and it's a free app. But it doesn't have any like AI. It doesn't really need any AI. But you could imagine that the viral coefficient of someone downloads an app, they have a magical experience with some twist on top of an LLM, something storytelling, something astrology. Who knows what it'll be? I can't predict it. It's as hard to predict as Instagram or Uber, but it's unlocked by having this ability for free on the iPhone. Yeah. And then people are sharing screenshots of, oh, I had this hilarious interaction, or this was incredible, or I love this app. Yeah. They create some viral loop, they do some Nikita Beer type stuff, and then everyone's downloading the app, and then it gets actually really, really big. And I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to compete with ChatGPT. I think it's going to be a completely different thing, and it's very hard to predict. But it feels like we might be seeing it. Yeah, and it's going to require some like really cracked level of creativity, like what we saw with Harry Potter Balenciaga, where it's like the technology existed, and then someone came up with the great idea to actually go like instantiate it. So if you're going to be mocking that app up, you're going to do it in Figma.com. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. You can get started for free. The Wall Street Journal was also covering the Apple's iPhone Air. They had a whole interview. They had really good coverage of the iPhone event. There was one thing in the reporting from the Wall Street Journal. I don't have this particular article actually, but they did an article with the Wall Street Journal, and Apple revealed that I believe they said the majority of iPhones, 51% or more, that are shipping to America are going to be made in India. And I'm not sure if it was this cycle, but it seemed like they were taking the tariff stuff really seriously, moving the actual manufacturing capacity around. Obviously, Foxconn, their manufacturing partner is a Taiwanese company, and so they're worried about geopolitical risk as well. And so just another data point around Tim Cook. He is not loudly shouting like, America, I'm all in, reindustrialize, but he is making moves.
What was the number he threw out at the dinner last week? Wasn't it?
I don't know if he had a number, because who was it? It was Zuck had a number, and did Apple have a number too? That was 600 billion or something. Apple has thrown out a number at one point. You're completely right. My point is that we've seen
the number of
few
thank
data
yous,
points.
12.
Oh yeah, the number of thank yous is a lot. But we've seen he's invested in some some rare earth developments in the United States and starting to think about manufacturing internationally. And the pro bullish bet on Tim Cook is that like if he was able to set up this in China and he's the reason, he can set it up somewhere else, because he's the guy who did it. And so even though he hasn't been really loud about his moves, because obviously if he says like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be manufacturing in China anymore, then like his important business partners over there are probably going to be like, well, yeah, like we're not going to take your business seriously anymore. There are a ton of different geopolitical considerations.
Such an iconic line from the dinner.
What do you say?
Cook says, "I've always enjoyed dinner and interacting."
Yeah, if you're getting dinner this weekend with one of your boys, just tell
it's
them.
like how to say something that like no one can cancel you for.
Yeah.
It's like, I've always enjoyed dinner and interacting.
Interacting.
Two things I've enjoyed.
He's a dinner enjoyer.
He's not saying I've always enjoyed dinner with you.
Yep.
And interacting with you. He's just saying I've always enjoyed dinner. And
incredible.
Interacting.
Putting on a claim. I feel like for watching some of these, like I was watching the Tucker Sam Altman interview, and there's a certain level of polish that some of these CEOs have when they get to a certain level of media training and public speaking experience, where I think of them more as like word rotators than word cells or shape rotators. Like they can so quickly like shift a sentence to be like that, like so perfectly balanced where you're like, wow, every word in that sentence was calculated so that it rides this perfect line, like Sam was going back and forth with Tucker, and Tucker's like, I didn't accuse you, and if you run back the transcript, you're like, yeah, technically he didn't. It was not an accusation, but then they're rotating the sentences around to try and like pin each other. It's like watching a wrestling match. It's crazy.
Tim Cook said they would be investing $600 billion.
$600 billion. Yeah. Okay, so Apple says the majority of iPhones shipped to the U.S. are now assembled in India, meaning they face no tariff, yet Indian suppliers aren't yet capable of delivering as many of the Pro models that U.S. consumers demand, so most of those still come from China. So this is the majority of iPhones in total, because Apple makes a ton of those, but they can't make the leading edge. And then the other thing that everyone always talks about with this like assembled in India is not the same as fully manufactured in India. Obviously, the advantage to Chinese manufacturing prowess is that you'll walk across the street and there's a CNC shop with 25,000 CNC machines that can just immediately make you any part and make 1 million of those parts if you need. So obviously, it's going to be a long road for them to set up manufacturing anywhere other than China, but it does seem like Tim Cook's taking it seriously.
I would love to understand Tim's actual strategy here, because I don't think he's saying I'm going to invest. He's not going to be in a huge hurry to invest that $600 billion, right? He may not actually believe it's at all the right decision for Apple, and he's just feeling like he needs to placate the admin. And then in 2028 comes around and you just can pull back or pull out.
There's also like so much to $600 billion of capex over 5 years or something like that. Like that includes HQ, that includes data centers for iCloud that need to be local. If you're streaming the F1 movie on Apple TV Plus, you don't want that stream coming from a data center across the world necessarily. It needs to be cached locally. So there are like so many different pieces of the business. Building more Apple stores, like that counts as capex if they build them, and they're so $600 billion doesn't necessarily mean like, yes, like we're building like the one plant, because this is like a rainforest of complexity that actually delivers the iPhone. It's not just like one iPhone factory, please. It's like a whole network of things. Battery life appears to be a challenge for the Air. Apple always says like all day battery life, but people are like
Allegedly.
What kind of all day are we talking? Are we talking scrolling for 18 hours?
Doom scroll?
Are we talking a proper scroll? Proper doom scroll? Apple announced
somebody
this
was
new battery
running the
accessory that will attach to the Air, and obviously it no longer is thin. The company added what it calls a plateau on the back of the Air and Pro models, adding thickness at the top of the device to fit bigger and hotter chips.
Not a bump. It's a plateau.
It's a plateau. Yeah. Oh, they're rebranding.
Maybe they're signaling that maybe this is Gartner hype cycle coded.
Plateau productivity. I mean, they have plateaued in productivity for sure. The hype cycle, they've been through it. They're like, first hype cycle? First hype cycle? I've been here. I'm plateauing. I'm getting productive. Anyway, we also talked AirPods Pro, heart monitor, Apple Watch detects if the wearer has high blood pressure, and more news. So we'll keep moving on. Ben Thompson also had a great article. You can go read it on Stratechery.
What was he alluding to with the sugar water trap?
The sugar water trap. I don't know if I want to give away the game. We can pull up the actual. Let me see. Sugar water. That is an interesting phrase. I like a good coinage. Apple took the liberty of opening yesterday's presentation with a classic Steve Jobs quote, "Design is not just what it looks and feels like. Design is how it works." That's a great quote from Steve Jobs. Setting aside the wisdom of using that quote when the company is about to launch a controversial new user interface design, that's iOS 18? Is that what it's called? Yeah,
the new one?
Which one did we have you update?
That was iOS 26.
26. So they're on the year. They're on the year release now.
Yeah.
But they haven't updated the iPhones to be on the annual release.
I can't wait. I can't wait for iOS 4,000.
They really should just move to the year on the iPhone too. Then it's like, yeah, I have the iPhone 26. Oh, because you bought that in the year 2025, like a car.
I know.
It would make sense. Match it all up. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll do that next year. They'll just skip 5. Because they wound up doing that for the iPhone 10. I believe there was never an iPhone 9, right? They went from 8 to 10, and then for 10, they called it the X. And they were like really dancing around with the names for a while. Yeah. It was like iPhone 6 and then Max, Pro. They were like testing all these different things, and they finally kind of like defined the nomenclature.
I like modeling it after just cars. It's just the year.
I think that's the future here for sure. So that wasn't the Steve Jobs quote this presentation and Apple's general state of affairs made me think of, says Ben Thompson. What I was thinking of was the question Jobs posed to then PepsiCo president John Sculley when he was recruiting him to be the CEO of Apple in the early 1980s. Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or come with me and change the world? This is what Steve Jobs asked John Sculley, then PepsiCo president, trying to recruit him. Said, hey, you're selling sugar water. Come over here and actually build something that matters, that changes the world. So Ben Thompson says, iPhones are a great business, one of the best businesses ever, in fact, because Apple managed to marry the malleability of software with the tangibility and monetization potential of hardware. Indeed, the fact that we will always need hardware to access software, including AI, speaks to not just the profitability, but also the durability of Apple's model. The problem, however, is simply staying in their lane. Content can be a hardware provider, content to be a hardware provider for the delivery of others' innovations, feels a lot more like Sculley than Jobs. Jobs told Walter Isaacson for his biography, "My passion has been building an enduring company where people were motivated to make great products. Everything else was secondary." Sure, this is Steve Jobs talking to Walter Isaacson. Sure, it was great to make a profit, but that was what allowed you to make great products. But the products, not the profits, were the motivation. Sculley flipped these priorities to where the goal was to make money. It's a subtle difference, but it ends up meaning everything. The people you hire, who gets promoted, what you discuss in meetings. So Ben Thompson goes on. He says, Apple, to be fair, isn't selling the same sugar water year after year in a zero-sum war with other sugar water companies. No one's talking about the Pepsi 2026 edition. It's the same thing every year. Apple is making improvements. The sugar water is getting better, and I think this year's seasonal concoction is particularly tasty. It's great. What is inescapable, however, is that while the company does still make new products, the company has, in the pursuit of easy profits, constrained the space in which it innovates. somewhat true. I mean, they did take a big shot on Vision Pro. They're probably going to continue there. Maybe they'll, but yeah, I mean, until they launch the iCane or the
Scott in the chat says the Xbox naming convention is in an abstract liminal space.
That was a wild one. Are you familiar with the Xbox naming convention?
The X, the S, the 360.
Yeah, well, it was the 360. And then they should have just done 720, 1080, obviously. That's no brainer. But then they wound up doing the Xbox Series X, and then they did the Series S, and then they did Xbox. It wasn't the Xbox Edition.
I think it was Xbox 360 and then Xbox One. And then there was X, S, and then now there's like...
You got to keep them on their on your...
Yeah, going back to one is always a crazy, crazy move. But people love doing that. Anyway, that didn't matter for a long time. Smartphones were the center of innovation, and Apple was consequently the center of the tech universe. And now, however, Apple is increasingly on the periphery, and Ben Thompson thinks that more than anything that's what bums people out. No, Apple may not be a sugar water purveyor, but they are farther than they have been in years from changing the world. Well, if you are trying to change the world, you need to be compliant. You need to be on Vanta. Automate compliance, manage risk, prove trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation, whether you're pursuing your first framework or managing a complex program.
This is Vanta country.
So, other reactions to the iPhone news, we'll run through these. Andrew Clare had a bunch of funny observations.
Yeah. I was just pulling this up. So you go through this and then I'll run through it. Yeah, so Andrew Clare says, things I've learned since the iPhone 17 series was announced. Everyone hates the color orange. I don't think so. I think this is going to be...
You said on the day, you were like, I'm getting orange. And I would get orange too. I like orange, but I feel like if you have orange and then I have orange, it's like a little bit
Did I say I would get orange?
That's what you said to me. You were like, I'm getting the orange. If you don't get it, if you're passing on the orange, I'm doing it.
I mean, I think there's just not many options.
There's only room in this town for one orange iPhone Pro.
Well, we actually already have the same color phone, and we only get it mixed up like twice a day.
That's true. The display or the background does a lot of heavy lifting there. So.
No one. So Samsung Mobile US Twitter was going off.
Yeah, love it.
Responding.
They're boys. Samsung US
48 MP times 3 still doesn't equal 200 MP. Hashtag I can't.
Okay.
And then was quoting MKBHD saying actual innovation is greater than hype. Hashtag I can't again.
Wow.
Then they said hashtag I can't believe some people had to wait 5 years for sleep score.
What? Is this from the Apple Watch?
Then they said Apple just announced live translation at the ZZZ note, like sleep. It's calling.
Oh wait, so yeah, Samsung is taking shots at
Apple on every single.
So they put some probably Zoomer social media person on it.
It's not a Zoomer though because they're using hashtags.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And Samsung had posted in 2022, let us know when it folds with like one of these emojis.
Okay.
And then they said hashtag I can't believe this is still relevant. So they really were going for this this like hashtag I can't campaign.
Rough.
Which is
okay.
interesting.
Well, the other observations, iPhone Pro is for pro TikTokers. Mr. Beast will now solely be using iPhones on his channel. That's super interesting.
Is this
is
Do
because
they have a paid partnership, or
I think he just is
realized you can achieve.
Yeah, so if you tour Mr. Beast's facility, you'll see that he has like closets with like hundreds of cameras because they all need to record. So they have like GoPros and FX3s and all sorts of different cameras. But a lot of the reality TV is just like random stuff's going to happen. You have to have a camera on it, and your budget for that camera, it can't be $100,000 for like a pro cinema rig. You need just like, throw a $2,000 phone there. It's super light, plugs in over USB-C.
How cool would
save everything to the cloud?
How cool would an Apple gimbal be?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, this is what Apple should be doing. I mean, they should be just constantly going up against DJI. Yeah. And just really keeping the screws to DJI and just saying,
it's tough because the gimbal might be like $1 billion a year product line.
DJI has one, and that unlocked the gimbal that goes on the drone, which is also the gimbal that goes into Hollywood, which is also the gimbal that goes on the RC car, And like the DJI, they now own Hasselblad, so they have lenses and cameras all the way down to the drones, and then they have vlogging gear, and DJI has great microphones now, and so they've realized DJI has really leaned into this trend of like the prosumer content creator who wants like just one notch above but can't afford a Steadicam operator, so they just need the Ronin or the Osmo to have a gimbal. And a lot of people put iPhones on those, but that would be a fun challenge for Apple to go and take the fight to DJI. But the conclusion of this post is Tim can still cook. Hopefully, he is putting his team on Graphite.dev. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. Get started for free. Also. Trung Fan said Apple, after spending $100 billion on R&D over the past 5 years, nothing really changed in the design language from the 11 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max. But Sebastian comes in with a quote post and says,
Truth Zone.
During these 6 years, Apple managed to develop the best CPU architecture in the world, outpacing both AMD and Intel. Also, their GPU is nowadays state-of-the-art, which we talked about, beating NVIDIA in some areas. NVIDIA is a $3 trillion GPU company. I'd say
Chad has
spent their $100 billion.
Corrected, so Mr. Beast was at the Apple event.
Yeah, he was at the Apple event, but I don't know if it's a direct partnership. Like, I think he might just be like, I'm all in on iPhone, I'm buying them. Yeah. But maybe there's some sort of deal. But he was at it, and that's where he announced this, that he was like, I'm in. And the big one is that there's Genlock, so you can have one time code across a whole bunch of different iPhones. Again, very valuable. So if you're filming Beast games and it's like American Ninja Warrior and a bunch of people are going to be running around, you're going to have 25 different angles. It's like, oh, well, like we need a telephoto lens for this shot. Just put on the 48 megapixel 4K, telephoto. Put on the wide angle and then sync it all. So when you bring it in the timeline, you can be like, let's cut from this angle to this close up to this one to this handheld, and they're all in perfect sync. So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of really creative stuff.
Unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever be allowed at Apple, considering I posted the iPhone 4000 meme. Might have got us banned for life. But we love Apple.
We'll see. We'll figure it out.
We love Apple.
Also, the new iPhone, when you throw it in, the orange iPhone, when you throw it in a green case, it looks like Master Chief from Halo. Very cool.
Let's go.
Also, got a little Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles vibe to it. I think it'll be popular with the kids. Blake Scholl says everything's battery and shows that the entire iPhone Air is just up top. Very cool to just see the miniaturization of electronics just flow through so completely. And of course, Duolingo traded down on the news that Apple is bringing live translation to AirPods Pro 3.
Morning Brew saying that Owl is going to break into Tim Cook's house tonight.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for not quite Duolingo, but AI for data analysis, go to Julius. What analysis do you want to run? Chat with your data and get expert-level insights in seconds. Loved by 2 million plus users and trusted by individuals at Zapier, BCG, and Princeton University.
Legends.
In other news, Larry Ellison got the #1 spot as the world's richest man with a $70 billion gain after Oracle reported quarterly results after the market close. Oracle surged 40%, and he made $100 billion. There was a funny post in here.
He didn't make it.
Well,
he's not selling.
Yeah, he's not selling. But and you pointed out a couple other things that this is the biggest gain since 1999. What happened after 1999? $1 trillion company is trading like a penny stock. There's this circle of money going on in AI where NVIDIA sells GPUs to Oracle. Oracle uses it to power its data centers. Oracle builds cloud on those GPUs. NVIDIA rents compute back via signed deals from Oracle. And so if the economy needs external the economy it cannot be entirely self-sustaining just on a few companies. The actual top story is people were wondering like how did they get this backlog so huge, and the answer is OpenAI. So Oracle signed a contract with OpenAI signed a contract with Oracle to buy $300 billion in computing power over roughly 5 years. People familiar with the matter said the deal is one of the largest ever cloud contracts signed, reflecting how spending on artificial intelligence data centers is hitting new heights despite mounting concerns over a potential bubble. And the Oracle contract will require 4.5 gigawatts of power capacity, roughly comparable to the electricity produced by not one, but two Hoover dams. or the amount consumed by 4 million homes. Oracle shares surged 36%. When they revealed it had added $317 billion in future contract revenue during its latest quarter. So Larry Ellison and Sam Altman are clearly in cahoots working together to build a next generation hyperscaler. They're teaming up. And so the question that I had was, everyone thinks this is crazy. Like, this is somewhat like a revision on the Stargate story. Like, the Stargate story was at a high level. The people in the room with Donald Trump that day wanted to do a $500 billion project together. It wasn't like the money had been wired and it's in the company. It was like, it's a variety of companies. It was like a vibe.
Let's go big.
But the vibes were, let's go big. And so this feels like just one notch more clarity into how Stargate and the other projects might kind of come together. I don't think you should look at this as like its own thing. It's a piece of the overall story that we're getting around Stargate and just big data center investment around OpenAI. So
reminded me of the you remember that exchange between Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani?
Yes.
When they said,
Tiger.
"This is our year, Tiger." That was kind of the original Stargate meeting. They were just kind of getting together.
Yeah.
Like, this is our year.
So it was Masayoshi Son, Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, and Donald Trump saying that the plan was for those four loosely, plus a couple other people, to invest roughly $500 billion over a series of years. And
they were early to using the $500 billion number. Now you got Mark throwing it around, you got Tim throwing it around.
Yep.
Everybody's throwing it around.
Everyone's throwing it around. And so I guess I'm in the steel man category today, figuring out how crazy is that number? Like, how should we be thinking about that number? How can we put it in other context? And so one context that I thought would be interesting is if you assume that ChatGPT, like as a consumer product, as an internet company, is going to be roughly the same scale as Google, Amazon.com, and Facebook.com, and like the Facebook apps. Like, it will have similar revenue, similar scale, similar user adoption, similar monetization. Like, you get like one ultra compounding $1 trillion like consumer style website at the end of the day. It's like an internet company, right? You have to support that with data centers, not just like be a hyperscaler and then build a cloud business. Like, you need servers to run Instagram.
Yep.
You need servers to run Gmail. You need servers to run YouTube. You need servers to run AWS. You need to, not just AWS, but Amazon.com needs servers. That's why AWS grew out of Amazon.com, was because they were investing so many servers in just supporting Amazon.com. Also Prime Video, Twitch, these all of their internet properties, aside from their resale business in AWS and aside from Google's resale business, GCP, you need a ton of servers. So my question is, like, Sam Altman's saying, I'm going to be one of those. Like, think of OpenAI as the next Google, the next Amazon.com, the next Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, right? How much did those companies spend to support their $1 trillion businesses? They have a $1 trillion internet business. How much did they invest? And so I tried to pull all the CapEx that they've spent roughly that doesn't go into their cloud business. And the numbers are big. Amazon, retail, ex AWS, this includes like fulfillment and transportation. So it's like, it's
which is
really
significant.
It's very significant, but $250 billion, Meta's core apps. So X new AI, X Gen AI. So not counting the llama stuff, that's $130 billion in CapEx. And we've seen that these hyperscalers are all spending 60, 70 billion a year, and they've been ramping. So if you work back from that ramp, you're spending 60, 50, 40, you add all that up, you're in the $200 billion range. Google's core services, ex GCP, and this is probably the best comp because they don't have warehouses for fulfillment. Google's core services, not including Google Cloud Platform, $210 billion. is like the reasonable estimate for how much they've spent on the servers just to serve YouTube, Google search, databases, all that stuff, Gmail, all that stuff. And so when I think about OpenAI, what they're trying to do, become in the conversation with as many user minutes, as big of penetration as Facebook, as Google, as Amazon.com, that feels like a couple $100 billion in CapEx. And so you project it forward, and the CapEx is way more expensive because you're doing AI inference instead of just pull the search results out of the database, put the search results in the bag. 300 billion seems like it could, if OpenAI succeeds if in 5 years we're talking about it as like, Amazon.com, Google.com, Facebook.com, Chat.com. Like these are the new Mag 4, Mag 7, or Mag 8, Mag 9, whatever. Like if they're in the same conversation as like dominant internet companies that are used by everyone all the time for everything, not a niche, not a Pinterest like outcome, not a Snapchat like outcome, but a Facebook.
Yeah, and you factor in that
Amazon like outcome.
Inferencing language models today and various, all the models is just extremely compute intensive in a way that serving Gmail is not. Right?
Exactly. And this was the story of YouTube. Like I believe that the compute, like the CapEx that went into supporting YouTube was way more than Google search. Because Google search needed, it's just like
I was
results.
just thinking this yesterday. There was a number of Hassan Piker was streaming on Twitch and had 200,000 live viewers, which probably is costing Twitch, multiple dollars a second.
Something. Yeah. Somebody ran the numbers just on the Apple stream because the Apple stream on YouTube had like millions and millions of views, and they were talking about the data, just the data transfer costs. Yeah. And so the economics of scaling a consumer AI company like ChatGPT is different. Yeah. And so it is going to be more costly.
Well, and the reason that so Oracle and OpenAI are now incredibly linked. They're betting on each other.
Yep.
And both have to execute pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's going to be absolute chaos.
And so on the absolute chaos, the bear thesis, this feels like 1999.
The concern is like, okay, so Oracle just had a double miss on earnings, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll see how they do this next quarter. If they come out and blow out earnings, I'm assuming, like if they can get sort of like back on track, it'll be everybody will be very excited. But the question is like everybody is struggling to get the the various like components necessary to build data centers right now, right? Elon's talking about making his own transformers, right? Everybody needs
electrical transformers. He said that.
Yeah. That was
I missed that.
Another thing we missed.
That's crazy. Okay.
And so you have to assume that Oracle can develop this capacity on a reasonable time horizon in a heavily supply constrained environment where they're competing with, 5 or so other heavily funded players.
Yep.
You have to assume they can execute perfectly, and then you have to assume that OpenAI is going to be able to scale revenue to the point where they can actually sort of pay for this $300 billion of compute, right?
Yeah.
It has to come from somewhere. I don't think, I don't know. You have to wonder, can Sam Altman raise $300 billion?
It's on his way.
Has anyone ever raised $300 billion?
I was talking to Brandon about this. Like, you
sort of need to. What is the
most money ever raised? I don't know. You get into crazy comps. How much did?
Because even a lot of the best and biggest companies end up getting to the point where they're like, "Cool, we got enough cash."
I mean, Google was cash flow positive at IPO, right? And so they were not.
Yeah, I mean, the single biggest is OpenAI's $40 billion raise, but even that again was
didn't they only draw down like
tranches, and it's contingent on the for-profit conversion.
Yep. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Wild. It is unprecedented territory, but it's an unprecedented technology. Like you use it and you're like, yeah, this is magical. Like this is going to be around.
Larry prayed for one more bubble like this.
Then he hit hard.
Just one more.
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see like the Oracle Street, like the investor should be looking at Oracle and saying, okay, you have this backlog. Like how quickly can you draw down from it? Like next quarter, can you convert that backlog into serious revenue and profit? If not, and it's just staying out in the backlog, it needs to be discounted a lot. Anyway, if you're looking to scale your generative media strategy, go to Fall, generative media platform for developers. The world's best generative image, video, and audio models all in one place. Develop and fine-tune models with serverless GPUs and on-demand clusters.
Trusted by over 1 million developers. And Adobe, Shopify, Canva, Quora, Perplexity, and many more.
There we go.
Really enjoyed having founder on the other day.
Chris Bakke, who somehow hasn't been on the show yet. I feel like we would have overlapped at some point, but we've reacted to a ton of his posts. He says, my son's preschool teacher asked me to read to his class next week and bring 3 kids that three books that the kids will enjoy. These 4-year-olds are in for a treat, and he has 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, High Growth Handbook by Alad Gil, and Titan by Ron Chernow. I love it. The kids might enjoy some of those books, but some of them are a little bit dry for the kiddos. Robinhood has launched a social app. This was in the Journal. Robinhood's For You, says Nir Zicherman. Robinhood's For You will let you tweet positions with your real profit loss, supporting both options and crypto. Vlad has been in the trenches, grinding, launching new products all the time.
Dalton Caldwell announced a new fund, or I don't know, maybe he announced it prior. He was at Y Combinator.
Left YC
but
started
he's come out with Standard Capital, standardcap.com, the AI native Series A firm. The reason I thought this was particularly interesting is they're doing effectively like seasons. So they do they're basically doing batches, right? And so they say Standard Capital operates on quarterly funding cycles. Applications are now open for Standard Capital's fall 2025 funding cycle. So interesting to take this sort of like systematic model of funding and apply it to Series A. They're differentiating as well by they're only looking for 10%. Obviously, plenty of Series A firms will happily take 10%, but this might be particularly interesting to founders that are generating a lot of revenue already, want to get a Series A done, but just don't want to be peer pressured by the current capital and the new entrants to the cap table to just raise closer to 15-20%.
Yeah, who else is running Standard Capital? I feel like he got someone else on the team.
Paul
Buchheit?
Yep.
I love Paul. We got to have both of them or one of them on at some point. I'm interested to know how the fund is structured. If does an LP get exposure to a fund that's a specific season cycle? I think
it's pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, we're going to fund. I don't know how many they're actually doing. Let me try to find it. They're doing 5, so they're going to do 5 companies per cycle 4 times a year, so 20 companies a year. They can, I imagine they're planning to write like, $5 to $10 million checks, depending how overheated the rounds get. But it's pretty easy to plan out. You can go to your LPs and say, like, look, we're going to fund this many companies over the next 2 years. Yeah. Obviously, there'll be edge cases, and I'm sure they'll end up doing like off-cycle investments here and there. But it's pretty cool to see some experimentation with the model. And leaving Y Combinator, this becomes like a net positive asset to Y Combinator to provide downstream funding.
Yes, and there was always this dynamic of, is YC going to cherry pick the best companies? Is it like a counter signal if you get to demo day and none of the partners have been like, yeah, I want to invest in the next round? And YC continuity was a thing for a while, and there was this odd dynamic of like, well, like, if YC Continuity was a fantastic fund, but people were always asking questions about like, what does it mean? Do they have like extra insights, so it's an extra good signal, or is it a bad signal because like you couldn't do it with somebody else? And this sort of solves that potentially, which is good.
Somebody else posted today at YC Demo Day. I ran into a multi-stage firm that has invested in 600 YC companies over the last 5 years. Of those, one has raised a Series A. They still invested in 10 companies.
That seemed like a low hit rate, but how young are the companies?
I mean,
It's been over
incredibly
how many years?
Incredibly low
Yeah.
hit rate. I mean,
Wild.
I don't know.
I feel like Gary has shared other stats where like way more.
Well, yeah,
you
you would have to study this firm and understand like how
it seems like
how
they're
to,
underperforming.
like figure out and do basically the opposite of
because you could just do random and be at the
just like
the
don't,
purely random.
don't meet the
Series
founder.
A hit
Just
rate
like
is
have
higher
a
than that.
database and just like offer money.
Maybe they're printing.
Randomly.
Maybe they only invest in. Maybe they're really good at going in and finding the companies.
Maybe they're
that
gonna
never
make it
need
all
to
back
raise
in-
again. And
Yeah,
they're just
that's
like,
true.
Yeah, none of them raise a Series A, but they have 12 IPOs.
Maybe they're fine to just make it all back in one trade.
They have
Maybe
75. Yeah, maybe that one company is like it's Coinbase or something. It's like
Yeah, so apparently they only picked consumer companies.
Okay, that's
so
yeah. Consumer is like
some of the biggest
extremely
outcome.
power law.
Y Combinator,
hitter,
consumer,
but very hit or miss.
consumer AI.
Yeah, very power law driven.
Sorry, not Y Combinator. OpenAI. I guess they weren't a consumer company when they were going through YC, but
Nope, they pivoted. Classic. Anyway, let me tell you about Turbo Puffer. Search every byte, serverless vector and full text search built from first principles on object storage, fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable.
we got to have Simon on from Turbo Puffer ASAP. He's so fun.
Should we be investing in Turkish bonds?
Turkish
Did you see
bonds.
this? Turkey just cut the interest rate from 43% down to 40%. And Maine says, did bro say 40? So, like, I mean, I don't know. But, like, if you go over to Turkey and you put your money in, like, their equivalent of T-bills, you just earn 40% gains? Like, is this not inflation adjusted, I assume? I assume they have, like, really high inflation in whatever it's denominated in. But DC Investor says, we need to be farming this. Yeah, that was my first
Turkey.
too.
Put your bonds on chain. Let
Hyperliquid go.
Let the trenches
go
decide
wild.
the fair value of your bonds.
The trenches decide. Andrew McCallop answered our TBPN question that we were asking at YC Demo Day. How did you make your first dollar on the internet? He says, mine was at 13 years old. I was contracting CNC shops to produce parts for my online RC car business, Cold Fusion Racing. Good name. The Traxxas crowd will remember me as the steel differential guy. Made thousands of upgraded steel planetary differentials after the brushless motors hit the market and were shredding the OEM plastic ring gears. I literally rode my bike to the gas station for money orders. What a fun time that was. Wow. Amazing. Makes a ton of sense why he's doing what he's doing now. He, of course, works at Varda and is building drone
We got to have
ships
him on to come on and talk.
Yeah, I want to hear about the project.
Andrew, come on the
You're
show.
welcome.
It's time to Bob.
And if you want to get Project Bob mentioned on ChatGPT, go to Profound Andrew. Get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT. Reach millions of consumers who are using AI to discover new products and brands. Hunter shared this interesting fact. If you become a billionaire and then you lose it all, Forbes still keeps you on their real-time net worth tracker as some sort of dark humiliation ritual. And so Elizabeth Holmes, Renee Benko, who I'm not familiar with,
just throw you at the bottom.
and Sam Bankman-Fried is at 0.0 billion. I want to put that in the truth zone on SBF. He might have $100 million tucked away somewhere in crypto. I think Elizabeth Holmes is seriously zeroed, but SBF, it would have been so easy for him to have some random Solana on a USB stick somewhere on one of those like offline drives, and just have it waiting for him because he buried it. You have to imagine. I'm not saying it's 100%, but like
you have
20%.
to imagine that he is like
tinfoil hat.
You have to imagine
he still has
that
100
he
mil.
is like placing like he's getting printouts of charts, and he's like basically figuring out a way to day trade behind bars. And probably. Anyways, that's an interesting. Do you think
Max in the chat says SBF might have a bill? I think
wouldn't be surprised.
Possible. I would put him having $1 billion at like 2% or 5%, and him having 100 mil at like 20% maybe. So I would still probably put him at 0.1 B on the Forbes tracker, but I don't know. Yeah, not that hard to just remember a passphrase. Just memorize the seed phrase, and go to jail. And when you come out, some unusual whales account will see, a bunch of stuff's moving that hasn't moved since the day SBF got locked up, and now it's moving, and it's grown a ton because it's just been sitting there. The potentially the underrated way to diamond hands is to go in the clink, where diamond handsing is the only option. Anyway, Antonio Garcia Martinez says part of Facebook's baked-in advantage was/is having the same user ID across devices and apps, from browser cookies to mobile devices. Why Apple leaned into privacy was nuking everybody else's ability to identify the same user across apps on the same phone. Identity is king, he says. Interesting. Well, if you're building something that's built on top of identity, do it on Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, project, and product roadmaps. We are going to be talking to the new CEO of Open today, and going deeper into the Open Door story. Martin Shkreli says the new CEO is a big win for Open. Not sure how you turn around this business, which seems fundamentally broken, but that's what good managements do. And it'll be interesting to see. The stock has been way up. The retail army is marshaling.
Up 70% today.
Keith Rabois back on the board. We had him on the show when there was rumbling on the timeline about what might happen with Open Door. He is getting back involved, but not in a day-to-day capacity. But anyway.
Such a wild story.
Yeah. Interest rates are high. That should be, a reduction to liquidity and transaction volume. Probably a headwind, but they might come down, which is a potential
But they picked up
tailwind.
An absolute dog.
They did. Gaz is the man. I've talked to him before. He's great. Hello, 2.6 million. Welcome to the stream. Tech Sales says, imagine being the sales rep who closed the OpenAI Oracle $300 billion computing deal. What's your next move? Obviously, this was done between Sam and Larry Ellison directly, but it's funny to imagine that you're just some SDR and you're like, yeah, like today I'm going to call up Oracle. Like, can I? Or vice versa.
Yeah,
you're at Oracle and you're just like, who needs computers? OpenAI. My brother-in-law was telling me about this new app.
I'm going to see if
Chat.com.
Sam wants to grab a dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Just calculating.
Maybe invite him to some sort of sports game.
Yeah,
we got
a
a box.
with the Warriors.
Go get the Warriors. Yeah, that's probably how.
That's
happened.
what Sam will want.
Yeah, that's how it went down. And then all of a sudden, the rest is history. Eliezer
Yudikowsky has a new book.
Yeah.
Did you read it yet, John?
I have not read it. I was thinking about reading it. It seems like he distilled his thesis. Neerit Weiss-Blatt says, posts some highlights from a review in New Scientist. No, AI isn't going to kill us all, despite what this new book says. Yudikowsky has a number of policy prescriptions, all of them basically nonsense. Wow, putting Yudikowsky in the truth zone. First is that GPUs, computer chips that have powered the current AI revolution, should be heavily restricted. They say it should be illegal to own more than 8 of the top 2024 era GPUs without submitting to nuclear style monitoring by an international body. By comparison, Meta has 350,000 of these chips. Once this is in place, they say nations must be prepared to enforce these restrictions by bombing.
Did you see what the title of the book?
What is it called?
If anyone builds it, everyone dies. Why superhuman AI would kill us all.
I don't know. I like the Riz
Clickbait.
thesis. Yeah, clickbait. But Perry Metzger had a good take on it. He said, it's starting to look like the worst thing Eliezer Yudikowsky ever did for his cause was actually write down all of his arguments in a form compact enough that a normal person could read them in a few days. Before, the arguments were scattered all over tens of thousands of pages of really wordy blog posts, and only extremely dedicated people could bother to go through them. You get nerd sniped by them. In truth, the whole thing could be summarized in a few pages. Now that he at least condensed it down to 256 pages. Good number of pages. I like that. that. He's using a factor of 2. Which normies might consider reading. If they read it, though, they will learn that the argument isn't at all persuasive. You get people like the New York Times reviewer saying the book reads like a Scientology manual, the text interspersed with weird, unhelpful parables and extra notes available via QR codes. So that's very cool. Tyler, what's your take on Yudkowsky?
I think he's like, people hate on him too much, I think. Also, like, there is already a book about AI safety that's like very famous. That's like readable.
Bostrom?
Yeah. Superintelligence Nick Bostrom, which is like a good book, I think.
Yep.
There's a good actually Young Macro post
I
about.
thought you were going to say Fang pneumonia or whatever. Just kidding.
Young Macro.
There's a good Young Macro post.
Yes.
He says, Bay Area rationalists continuously getting spat on for warning us about their very rigorously researched and thought out eschatology must be one of the most flagrant cases of unfair maligning. They should be treated more like Christian missionaries worried about hell, which I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like people just like dunk on them constantly, which like I've read a fair amount of like less wrong posts.
Yeah.
I'm not like a crazy doomer, but it's like you can understand the
trade-offs.
and
the
It's
risks.
a valuable public service to just spend your time for at least some people in the world to think about what if this goes incredibly wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm very
It's
glad
great that
someone
most people
wrote
are
this
thinking
book.
about how do we make this go right, but it's not necessarily. It's
like,
it's not net negative for the world to have of course, unless like you figure out that the ideas catch on to such a degree that it makes it so that humanity can't. Again, it's like it's a fine line between. Some of the policies that have been proposed, like around the U.S. at the state level, have been like crazy so far this year, right?
Yeah, like people at Anthropic who are like doing safety research that's like obviously a good thing.
Yep.
There's like, they publish it openly. It's like open source. I think that's like good. Obviously, I'm not in favor of bombing data centers.
Yeah.
But I think it's reasonable to like.
Yeah.
I think people dunk on him way too much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that. When the dunking on the doomer, when the doomer dunks were at an all-time high, people like there was probably a group of 80% of tech that was like, let's dunk on this. This is not good. This is nonsense. But I feel like over the past 2 years, you've slowly picked off 20% chunks of that group and said, well, actually, I'm interested in safety in this context. And so the examples I'll give are like, there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get paper clipped anytime soon, but I love AI safety research if it can tell me if DeepSeek is trying to, poison the American population against capitalism, and it's like a geopolitical weapon. Or I'm worried about people getting one-shotted and going crazy from chatting with 4.0 for days and days and days. That's a safety research problem. Are people using it just to go and like the classic example is like, someone develops like a chemical weapon or biological weapon, but what about just like an actual weapon? What about just like a normal, we just saw this with the terrible Charlie Kirk story. If you're sending into any LLM sketchy questions that highlight like you're planning something, we do need to have a discussion about like, when does it call the cops on you? When does it flag this? Like, how anonymous is this? Like, if someone's blaring and obviously going to Google and saying like, I'm trying to do a bad thing, like, should that flag things? There's a whole discussion to be had there, but I put that within the broad context of AI safety and AI doom, and I don't think it's unreasonable to have those discussions at all. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think also like even if you're like an accelerationist, you like think doomers, safety is like completely useless. You can probably make the case that Eliezer like writing about AI in like early 2000s accelerated AI in general.
Totally. Yep.
So like. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, it's certainly like marshaled capital to be like, oh, well, like if this is the final innovation, like if it's going to be able to do that, like then we got to get into this deal.
It has the opposite effect that he wants, which is he says this is the most dangerous technology ever, and people are like, I got to find a way to make money on this.
Yeah. I mean, that was the story of just nuclear power. It was like the bomb went off at Trinity, the bomb went off in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and people were like, wait, like this is a terrible like disaster, like so like awful, and like there's a true doom scenario, which is we all bomb each other and nuclear holocaust happens and everyone dies. But very quickly people were like, wait, there is a positive way to use this, and that's with a nuclear reactor, and that's with positive energy. The interesting doom scenario that I think you could get from Yudikowsky's fears like really running wild is just a stagnation, where if we actually say as a society we agree with this and we say, yeah, we're never going past 1 gigawatt for a data center ever, and we will bomb them, and we all agree, like, well then, yeah, you do wind up in the nuclear energy scenario where we stop building them. And basically the amount of nuclear power just kind of stagnated, and we had the technology, but we didn't really ramp it. And we were just like, yeah, we'll find other ways to do things. And like we found other ways to generate electricity with oil and gas, but also solar and wind. And we stayed away from nuclear for decades. Now we're getting back into nuclear. We could find other ways to generate images and deep research reports. Like we could say, hey, we're not going any further as a society if everyone agrees. Now, there's geopolitical considerations. There's a lot of things where I don't think that's going to happen, but it is something that could happen. P stagnation is also like a key metric to be tracking alongside P doom. Is the response to P doom is P stagnation. Anyway, I believe we have our first guest of the show in the Restream waiting room, Josh. Oh, look at
this background!
Wow, impressive
production.
How you doing?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Hey guys,
great to have you on, and congrats on the new gig.
I'm thrilled to be at Lightspeed. It is a very exciting moment for my career, for Lightspeed. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things. You know, Lightspeed's AI, like we're Anthropic, we're Mistral, we're XAI, we're Glean, we're Pika, Bridge,
diversified.
We've got the AI hits.
Love it.
Got the hits.
Talk about your journey. What were you doing before?
Yeah, I was at Redpoint for the last 4 years, building the platform team there.
Wow, poached trade deal. Oh.
We love our Logan Bartlett, and
he's fantastic.
That's too, and all the content we've built there.
Yeah,
that team is exceptional. They're going to continue to absolutely crush.
Yep.
But this was just an incredible opportunity. I think when I was younger, I was chief digital officer at NASDAQ, and I worked on, you name the IPO, I worked on it. And Lightspeed had just always been that kind of like aspirational venture firm for me. I got to work on the Nutanix IPO. I did App Dynamics, and then the night before App Dynamics was going to go public, like they got acquired by Cisco, and I had like cake things made. Like this is the firm that I wanted to work at when I was that age, and it's just such an honor to even have been considered for their CMO role. And I'm just very, very thankful to Ravi and Bajal and Romano and the whole Lightspeed team for giving the trust in me to shepherd this incredible brand into the future.
Give us the master plan. Tell all,
plan.
And we'll tell
it.
We're
not going to do exactly the same stuff we did at Redpoint, because that wouldn't be any fun. But look, I wouldn't be here on TBPN if it wasn't a new media landscape. You guys have changed the game, like created a way for founders to tell their story in an authentic way without like shock journalism of being asked about like crazy news that doesn't apply to what they do, and actually having deep questions of people that understand venture-backed businesses and how they grow. I think we're in a new landscape of just finding ways for founders to tell their story in a compelling way. And that's the same kind of stuff we're going to be building at Lightspeed. We'll obviously not be copycatting TBPN, but we've got a lot of stuff. We'll be really forward on TikTok and Instagram, as you could imagine, but we'll be everywhere.
So Redpoint, I mean, you guys must have been getting like millions of views on Instagram on your account there for like a long time. Like, how valuable has that been as a channel? Because I feel like X is like especially noisy with like venture, right? You have tech Twitter. It's like, every single day there's funds and companies piling in to try to get the word out on what they're doing and their strategy and thesis and all that stuff. But Instagram is like relatively, it's not an area that we've focused a huge amount on. But how important do you think that is as a platform for investors?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram was really the tip of our spear at Redpoint, right? Like when I joined, of course, they didn't have an Instagram, and then had to get the keys to it from the Instagram team and start building. But I think, when I started it, people thought I was kind of crazy, and they're like, this is going to be good for the Redpoint brand. And then, it very quickly changed when you go to a pitch meeting and the founder goes, love your TikTok guy, or that video is so relatable. Like it just creates a brand affinity that you just can't buy. And I felt like a lot of firms were a little scared to dip their toe into Instagram, but quite a few have followed us there, and very proud of what the team will continue to build there. But it really is an important channel, and I think that the great news is that's where founders are in this decade, right? Like today's founders are on Instagram and TikTok. Like, yes, X is still the place to share the clips, but that's where people consume their content. And so I felt like while it was an unlikely channel for success for a VC firm, I think it's actually really important because it's like the place that everybody actually goes to just have a good time.
Do you see venture funds eventually following the same path as other financial institutions in terms of advertising and, let's say, like print media, right? You can imagine like BlackRock will run, a print advertisement in the Wall Street Journal, right? Do you think that's an interesting way to potentially build the brand with, I don't know that many founders that read the journal at least as religiously as us, but certainly there has to be, in the role of CMO, you have to be marketing to founders, but also LPs, right?
Yeah, well, actually, interestingly, my gig at NASDAQ when I was pitching IPOs for a living, that was something we would put in every single proposal. You get like a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
But I think today's founders that resonates as much. I think honestly, they're better off buying a piece of your hat on TBPN than they are like buying a page in the journal. Like spend that money on Instagram advertising and TikTok ads and
I meant more for you at Lightspeed. Like I think it would be iconic for Lightspeed to have a page in the journal that says like look at all, like we are in all the AI winners.
Like that Lightspeed is AI with just like the list of companies that we're in.
Yeah.
Get ready. We will be on every media platform. Legacy media still has a very special place in my heart. It's like, I spent a decade on the floor of that exchange working with every media outlet to help get companies as much noise as we could make them around an IPO. And
how do you think how is IPO marketing changed over the last decade since you were at NASDAQ? I mean, we have so much activity this week. We were at the Klarna IPO yesterday, which honestly felt incredibly quiet in comparison to Figma, which was actually, we figured out was intentional. The founder was like really celebrating back in Sweden, right? So he just came in. He didn't even bring his family. He just handled business and got out of there. And then you had Figma, which very much was like a celebration of.
They have an office in New York.
They have an office in New York, but it was a celebration of like the entire community. Like, it was really like an event. It felt like being at a festival.
Just in Manhattan, there's probably tons of Figma users.
But yeah, like broadly, how do you think that landscape has shifted?
Well, that was the fun thing about that gig. I got to work with every great CEO, CFO, and CMO, and you kind of get to see them almost in like what is their Super Bowl. For their company and how they perform at the top of their game. Sometimes people are looking for that more muted response that I think you saw with Klarna, which I just think is like stylistically that company. But I think if you're looking for IPO excellence, what Figma did and what they pulled off, what, some of the VC firms that helped them behind the scenes on their comms, like it was a massive win for noisemaking. And I think it was like kind of the gold standard for what you expect from an IPO. I think the thing is a lot of companies don't realize that like this is your one day to make the noise because you got the quiet period before and you got it afterwards. Yeah. And so really you have to squeeze as much juice out of the fruit that you can. And what I would always advise companies to do is spend every dollar you can across the, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, promoting the fact that you went public, because this is your opportunity to tell those enterprise customers who weren't necessarily ready to sign on to you when you were a private company, no matter the size, that you're ready for them.
It's the best branding ever to be like, yeah, we're a public company.
We're public. We're a public company.
It's on par with a great.com.
Yeah, truly.
Probably more significant.
A great ticker. Works well. How are you thinking about positioning Lightspeed in the venture ecosystem? Like, I feel like there's a couple funds that have carved out like kind of just very clear definitions of like, okay, we're a crossover hedge fund. We have publics, and then we have a growth fund. But like, we're not even trying to be known for early stage. Maybe we write some seed check, and like just getting that clear message of like when to call what fund, I feel like is the first job to do of a VC marketing arm. Maybe how are you thinking about either narrowing or expanding or like defining the definition of like what is Lightspeed? How does it fit in? How is it different?
That's a great question. Look, I think actually it was one of the things that drew me to Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Right. When I was on the floor of the exchange as a young guy, like companies were going public in like 7 years.
Yeah.
And then while I was working there, it became 10 years. And I'm chasing companies for, from Series B for like 7 years before they would go public with us. Yeah. And now it's 15. And I think, honestly, Lightspeed's strategy is what attracted me to it, because literally we support companies from seed through IPO and beyond. Mm-hmm. And I think that focus of saying we are going to be great early stage investors, and then we're going to take the ones that are really winning, apply our full muscle to giving them all the tools that we can give them for an unfair advantage as they, go up against the Goliaths in their industry, and then bring them through IPO and provide them that added lift that they need in those later growth rounds. I think it's a really unique offer that is quite differentiated in the venture space. And actually that multi-stage thing is why I'm here, right? Like I get to give early stage companies the noise making. I get to help the late stage companies with their IPO prep. It's truly like a dream job to go and take this into the future. And we're going to be doing a lot of branding about why that model is so different than everybody else.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on. This is great.
Congrats on the new gig.
Guys. I'm looking forward to my TBPN traded card. Can I get that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll work on it. Logan, we might have to
I don't know if we want to upset Jeff Brody. I mean, he did go to my high school, so I got to keep things friendly over there.
I know you've got some other Lightspeed people coming out too.
Yeah. We're good buddies with Bucky. We'll have him on soon.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, Josh. Congrats.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
See ya. Quickly, let me tell you about numeral sales tax on autopilot. It's super intelligence for sales tax. They said if they build it, build it, everyone will spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. Anyway, I think we have our next guest already in the Restream waiting room, Nico Rosberg. We will bring him to this one studio. Nico, how you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Can you hear us? Sorry for keeping you waiting.
We got a bit of lag.
Oh, we got some backgrounds.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Hear us.
Can you hear us? Let's try and get him on the call. In the meantime, let me tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive takeoffs, #1 ranking
World
on
champion.
G2. Also, people are having fun memeing the AirPods 3 live translation. It immediately became a meme format. I was disappointed that I couldn't workshop one in time to get a banger up, but people were having a lot of fun with it.
I just like this picture.
Yes.
This picture being like, hola, and it just says hello.
What does hola mean?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask this. So hola is a Spanish word for hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So if I pay $300, put in my headphones,
you would be able to
translate that.
do that.
Yeah, it is incredible technology.
I mean, the whole I have no idea how to kind of judge Duolingo as a public company and what the fair market value of Duolingo is, but I do think there is like
I don't think this is
studying
all,
language has never been about.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say it never, but it's like for 90% of people, is not about the like practicality. It's about stimulating your mind and doing new things and even if this existed, I still would have done years of.
Wikipedia exists, and like Founders Podcast exists, and they're very different products.
Yeah.
Like they can both tell me what was Larry Ellison up to in the 90s.
Yeah.
And when the Oracle news broke, I actually went to both. I looked at the Oracle wiki, and I also listened to the Founders Podcast on Larry Ellison. And they're very different. And I feel like Duolingo plays this like fun game thing. Tyler, what's your take on Duolingo versus the AirPods 3?
Well, so about the AirPods, like unless both parties have them, then it's like not that useful, right? Because if you only speak Spanish, I only speak English, you're talking to me, I can't reply.
There are a variety of ways to use it with one person. So if I'm going around, you speak to me, and then when I speak, it can go into an app on my phone, and I can just hit play, and it will play the audio from my phone, or it will show you words. So if you're speaking Spanish, I'm hearing English, and my phone, as I'm talking, is displaying Spanish text. And so I can actually hand you my phone, and you can read what I'm saying in English in Spanish. So they've thought of some of the stuff. It still does seem like there's a little bit of a technological handshake going on where I need to say, hola, like, would you like to use AirPods Pro 3?
See if you can translate this. See if you can translate this Mandarin. 我很喜欢啤酒.
Of course. I would like a beer, please.
Close. I really enjoy beer.
I really enjoy beer generally, of course. Yes, this will be huge for ordering another brewski. Noah Smith called it the universal translator from Star Trek.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Vitalik said it can't translate arbitrary alien languages it hears for the first time with only a tiny sample, though. Although maybe what happened in Star Trek is that every species realized that it's a good idea to expose a clean API that blurts out like 1 terabyte of all your historical cultural works, and that is enough to generate the embeddings for their language. I've seen AI work before that suggests that if you have the embeddings for 2 languages, you only need a very small amount of translated word pairs to find the mapping between the 2. Not sure if this holds for languages that evolved in totally separate worlds, but maybe it still does for convergent evolution reasons, and that gets you a translator. And so ships just always scan for, give me a terabyte of your culture API, and always end up finding it. That's very funny. Speaking of alien languages, Tyler, you were mentioning that we discovered alien life on Mars, or it was fake. What was your take on that? You were saying that the moon landing's fake, and you don't believe in the moon landing, right?
You don't believe in space.
You said that off mic, and you didn't want me to talk
more
about
about
that
space is fake, yeah.
Space is fake. Going up high is fake. Planes, when you get in a plane,
rockets.
Why do they always have the windows down? It's because they're changing out the set decoration around you.
That's right.
You just get on the plane, you sit there for 6 hours while they rebuild the city around you. You get off, and then you're in the New York City. Oh, I'm in New York City. Oh, really?
Oh, I traveled
you didn't just
thousands
move the buildings
of miles.
around.
I moved thousands of miles in a tube.
Put the boards up? Yeah, okay. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, what was the news? NASA got a photo. How is there a new photo on Mars? The rover's just going around?
Yeah.
Okay, so the rover's going around looking for stuff.
Wait, can we pull up the picture?
It's in the deck. It's later in the deck.
So,
like 20 pages
who
later.
took the photo?
The rover.
The rover of itself, like kind of like selfie stick.
Yeah, the rover has like a 360 cam on the end of an arm, and there's someone who gives instructions, I think like once a day, because there's such a delay to get the message there, that they say, the rover's kind of semi-autonomous, then they say, hey, go look around over here.
The chat, just to defend Tyler's honor.
He is not
Tyler's
a flat earther.
We're just joking around. Just joking around.
Anyway, we believe we have our next guest, Nico Rosberg. How you doing, Nico?
Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for taking the time. How are you doing?
Thanks a lot. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing good, thank you. You're catching me in Monaco.
Monaco,
which is where I've grown up here.
Fantastic.
Classic.
How is it this time of year?
Actually, it's lovely because it's kind of still summer, still really warm, and we're still enjoying the outside, going to the promenade, going to the pool with the kids. Because I have two kids; they're 7 and 9.
Wow.
And they just started school again after the summer, but still really warm here, so it's lovely. South of France is beautiful.
That's fantastic.
What about you guys?
We've been traveling a lot. We were in New York City yesterday, San Francisco the day before for the Klarna IPO, and then Y Combinator demo day, and then back to LA. So a little bit too much travel, a little frazzled.
I don't know how you I don't know how drivers actually do this, right? Just because when we go on the road for 48 hours with that kind of pace, it really throws everything off. But we're here.
Anyway, can you give us a little bit of backstory on your path to venture from your racing career?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, it's not the most natural switch, and racing career. I was on it. I was at it for 20 years. You start when you're 10 years old, and then I ended up winning the Formula One World Championship at the age of 31 with the Mercedes team. Yeah. Thank you very much. Lovely to hear that. And I did the pretty extreme thing of retiring like 5 days after I won the championship, because it just felt like my dream was complete. I achieved what I set out to do, and it's an insane. I mean, all the founders listening, it's an insane lifestyle to pursue relentlessly your goal, just like for founders, but it's the same for athletes. It's really, really madly intense. And so I was quite happy that it was all achieved, and I just wanted to move on to the next life. But then I had no clue what to do. So I was really searching a lot of things. And now, 9 years after.
Before you dive into that, do you have any idea what percentage of drivers that end up as a Formula One driver actually even podium at any point in their career? Isn't it
extremely low?
Isn't it extremely low?
I'm sure it is. I don't know the exact numbers, obviously, but if I had to guess, it would probably be less than 10%. Yeah, around 10%. If I had to guess now, that's just a wild guess now. And then, of course, in terms of world champions, there's 34 or 35 world champions in the 70-year history of the sport, and there's been thousands of F1 racers. So it's an extremely small percentage.
So talk about the transition to investing. I've heard a little bit of the path, and it is unconventional, but when I heard it explained, it made perfect sense. But I'd love to hear it from you.
No, it's just, I've always appreciated the startup world a lot. When I retired, mobility was just going through this extreme transition. Oh, sure. Suddenly there was like autonomous driving, there was connectivity, shared mobility, and it was all kicking off exactly when I retired. And I was the mobility world champion. So it's kind of natural for me.
You're good at getting around.
It was kind of natural to take a first look there. And Mercedes also helped me out, and because they were investing in startups. Sure. So I got going that way, really loved it, was fascinated. And it's been a journey ever since. It's been up and down. And now finally I kind of found my venture capital North Star. And I'm building Rosberg Ventures now, which is a venture capital asset manager. And we have multiple products, strategies, but very much focused on the US. So it's kind of bridging Europe with US. That's really our big focus, and I'm really excited.
And so that means sort of like European LP base, but investing in America.
Yeah, that's exactly That's one facet of it, but also then the European corporates, connecting them with the breakout generational startups in the US.
Makes sense.
Because there's a great connectivity between the startups in the US and the corporates in the US, but sometimes that link to the European and German corporates is quite weak. And also, surprisingly, like the German large caps, they don't have a very deep understanding of what's going on in the US venture capital landscape. So there's a great opportunity for us to add value in creating those connections. And as you know, to win.
What's the openness to partnering with, like, if you're like a German, a multi-billion-dollar company, what's the openness to even using products from startups? Is it high, low?
It really depends. I mean, one of our most famous car manufacturers, I'm not going to say the name, but the likes of BMW, Mercedes, etc. We're working with them and we're introducing startups. And then the other day they said, sorry, we have no more budget to explore. And you're like, okay, but you guys are facing insane threats from Tesla, China, and you're telling us here that you don't have budget to like explore transformational solutions from the startup landscape. Like that was
the point of enterprise software for the most part is help people save money or help people make money. Ideally do both, right?
Exactly. So actually we brought them like a tool that is gonna analyze their whole procurement contracts and everything, and their revenues are part of the cost savings that they generate. Yeah, and then this car manufacturer, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, whatever, they're like, oh, okay, so we don't need to invest anything up front here. They just take a cut from the savings that they generate for us on procurement, and then they're like, okay, this is great. This we'll definitely have a look at. So it depends, but anyways, in general, there's a great readiness, which is reassuring nonetheless. But they're not really like very in depth at the moment in understanding what's coming in terms of transformation. AI, it's a big challenge, as you know, for enterprises to adopt that.
Outside of the corporates, what does the family office or ultra high net worth individual landscape look like out in Europe? Are they more risk on now? Are these the type of folks that you met through your F1 career that became LPs eventually?
Yeah, sure. It's many of the families that I got to know in racing that were like big sponsors or even the car manufacturers.
Sure.
So that's kind of the link back to my racing, which is nice for me as well.
Yeah.
And in general, it's very risk off in Europe compared to America, which is a real weakness.
Yeah.
Because risk doesn't even necessarily have to be risk. If you have a long-term time horizon, even something like the NASDAQ becomes low risk. Even though on a 3-month horizon, it's a high risk investment. And that's the thing that the Europeans, I don't know, they don't really get that right. They're very conservative, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
So very often they hardly, like the endowments, they hardly beat inflation. Where there was the high inflation, they were hardly beating, or not even beating inflation. It was pretty shocking. But for me, it's awesome also because I can take all my learnings now from sport into this venture capital business that I'm building, and one of the main things, like us athletes, I think we're pretty good at this relentless pursuit of our goals. Like second place just does not exist. Giving up does not exist. It's like absolutely, it's pretty insane. I think that's one really big strength of ours, which is really appreciated in the venture capital ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because of course the best founders are exactly the same.
Yeah, talk to me about some of those best founders, the relentless, the risk takers, the ones who don't accept second place. Who do you look up to in the American entrepreneurship world, or see someone where maybe they weren't built for F1, but you think they could have done well if they were a racer?
Well, that's a hard question now. I have no idea. I mean, the racing skill is hand-eye coordination.
Okay, sure. But what about a more abstract level?
The foundation of everything. Then, of course, in terms of being relentless in the pursuit of winning, there's many examples.
Sure.
And I'm personally involved with the likes. For example, I'm an personal investor in like Applied Intuition.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Kasser there he's a machine as well. I mean, it's like unbelievable, the energy and the determination and grit. Or some European companies, examples are like 11 Labs, which I'm personally invested in, or Lovable. And like Lovable, Anton is also pretty extreme in terms of the level of commitment. But I'm also excited, by now I really have really cool portfolio also in terms of my personal investing. It's great to see how these companies are growing and unfolding.
Yep. Jordy?
How have you, it feels like over the last few years, founders have started to sort of adopt the health practices or the approach to health that athletes do. There's been a bunch of viral stuff recently, people joking around about this. What has there been? What was sort of most impactful for your performance during your driving career that you still apply to building like a venture firm from a health standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, so I was really quite a perfectionist when it came to preparing myself in the best possible way. So I've been through everything. I had a psychologist working with me. I did 2 hours of psychology and philosophy every 2 days. Like I was absolutely flat out on this because I could feel, and it was obvious that I had capacity to improve mentally as an athlete. I was under pressure, scared, worried, distracted, and all these things. So there was a lot of capacity there for me to improve, and I found incredible progress mentally. So I did a lot of meditation. I simplified my life. I removed all emailing, news. Everything was gone. Instagram, social media. There was nothing on my telephone on my pursuit to become a world champion. Wow. So it was really quite extreme.
Would you do caffeine or any stimulants, or does that just throw you off in terms of, we've seen like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't do caffeine.
Doesn't do caffeine.
And I could imagine in a driving setting, you're just like a slightly more twitchy or nervous because of caffeine, and you crash the car and your race is over.
Yeah, no. So I didn't do caffeine also because the problem I have is when I take caffeine, I can't sleep at night. So that would be counterproductive. Then even like, for example, when it came to jet lag, I had a Harvard sleep professor working with me who actually now has created an app based on what we had been pursuing at the time, which is called Time Shifter. And it actually was App Store App of the Day. It has like 1 million subscribers by now. It's like becoming quite a success.
That's awesome.
And this Harvard sleep professor was supporting me at the time, and I did a whole year with no jet lag. You were saying earlier how traveling is destroying you, and you don't know how the athletes do it, I think. And I did a whole year no jet lag. So it was all about like 1.5 hour steps per day maximum in time zone shift. Even before you start traveling, the last 5 days you leave home, 1.5 hour steps, blackout glasses, 10,000 lux like Brian Johnson in the morning, first thing, all these tools. And it was incredible. It was incredible to do a whole year traveling continents, no jet lag. So it's really all these things that it's just really essentially what it is. It's putting together all the little details, incremental gains, and focusing on them, because you all know that many incremental gains are a huge progress, and sometimes we kind of neglect them and are lazy and don't focus on the small steps as well. And that was probably a strength of mine, which I'm now taking into venture capital as well. Just all the details, putting them together. It comes back to being relentless again.
Yeah. What's your read on the state of F1 broadly? It feels like from an American perspective, Drive to Survive was a big moment. Cadillac's coming into the Cadillac has an F1 team joining next year. There's a few other milestones and key storylines, but what's captured your attention over the past few years in the story of F1 broadly?
But my attention has been how F1 has managed to conquer America. Yeah. And 40% of the new fans are women. So it's almost like 50-50 male-female. Yeah. Which is so cool. And and this is a big change, and it's thanks to Netflix. Yep. It's thanks to social media. They've opened up social media. Like in my time, social media wasn't even allowed 9 years ago because it was taking eyeballs off the television product. Yeah. But actually, it's a multiplier, so that was a bit short-sighted.
Yeah, I remember
it's Liberty Media, who owns F1, who's done such a great job. And Netflix has been so powerful because they actually managed to capture the humans behind F1, and it's like a reality TV show rather than a documentary. Yep. And that's what we love. We love to see emotions. Yep. We love to connect with the humans behind the sport. And they just managed to do such a great job. So that's really what I'm finding so cool is how our sport is growing, developing. The excitement is growing. Super, super thrilling.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about the rollout of autonomous vehicles over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, even over the long term? Is it something you spend a lot of time trying to invest against, any type of thesis?
So I invested in a teledriving remote control driving solution. So teledriving, and at one point we were like, oh, this is going to go wrong because we're going to full autonomy now. But it looks like someone like Tesla is actually having much more troubles than they perhaps expected 2 or 3 years ago, and especially in the edge cases, they're still having too many issues. So, and they had to launch their robo taxis with safety drivers in their cars, etc., etc. And the questions is still there. Is their camera only solution actually ever going to be good enough? Yes, they're learning on millions of miles every year, but can the camera solution only deal with all these edge cases of fog and rain and snow and etc., etc.? So there's still a very, very big question mark, and no one really knows. Then you have the Waymo, which certainly is better tech, but of course unit economics. I mean, it's super expensive hardware per car. So how scalable is that? Also difficult still to judge at this point, even though they seem to be going strong at the moment. But yeah, so it's really not clear yet who's going to be the eventual winner there. But it's yeah, again, fascinating time. But it will take some more time for us to finally know who wins. And then the worry though is. Like Europe, for example, unfortunately, is almost missing out completely on this value creation because they don't have, they don't, they're going to end up like the mobile phones that just became hardware.
Yeah.
So the system was done by Android or Apple.
Yep.
And then they just became hardware suppliers, and that's a threat for the European car manufacturers.
Sure.
Because they won't have the autonomy. I wonder if they'll even have the connectivity to their customers.
But isn't applied intuition is could potentially save them?
In terms of that interface connecting to the customer who's riding on board, etc. So, a very tough moment for European the car manufacturers, and also honestly many of the American car manufacturers. They're pretty much in the same situation. Yeah.
We have Formula One. We have Formula E, which showcases electric vehicles. Do you think we'll ever see Formula A to showcase autonomous vehicles?
So we had that already. There was Robo Race, I think it was called.
Yeah.
They're still somewhat slower than us, like 15 seconds a lap or something, 10 seconds a lap. So it's going to take some more time there too. Yeah. I don't know if that's because we love the gladiators, the humans,
of course,
in the sport, and if it's just tech racing each other, I don't know if that. Of course, it can find its niche, but I don't think it's going to be a huge, fascinating global success story. Who are you guys rooting for in F1?
I'm super interested in this like, we've seen the benchmarks of human versus AI in so many different categories, and I want to know when an autonomous vehicle will put up like a sub 7-minute Nürburgring time. And it seems like it might be years. It might be a long time, actually. And
especially if it was a manual.
Yes, especially if it's a manual and it has to be driven by a humanoid. So you can't just plug in like you do with a Waymo. You have to actually put the physical robot in the seat. The robot has to buckle itself in. Very dexterous, very difficult to slide into a cockpit properly. Do you have any favorite?
I'm impressed. Your Nürburgring times. I'm very impressed. So Nürburgring, for all the viewers, it's the greatest racetrack in the world.
Yes.
And it's this crazy 15-kilometer roller coaster through the forest in the middle of Germany. Yeah. And it's called the Green Hell. And all car manufacturers set benchmark lap times there. And if you manage to break the record, you got like global news and everything. So it's a very, very important racetrack.
Is it I haven't driven it myself. Is it? But I did the last time I was really. I mean, obviously we'll watch when the manufacturers are doing lap times. But the last time I saw footage I saw a GT3 RS get just absolutely destroyed on the track. Is it safe to go out and just do public laps, or would you stay away from something like that? I'm sure when you want to race,
I wouldn't do it. I would be scared. It's the craziest racetrack in the world.
And you have a bunch of people from all over the world coming and just like they want to go fast. They want to go fast.
Yeah, of course. But it's very, very dangerous. So I'd be careful with that.
Yeah.
What else are you tracking in the automotive world broadly? Have you been tracking what's happening in China? Are there any other interesting dynamics with any of the upstarts? I feel like most of these companies are post startup rounds at this point, with Rivian and being public at this point. But have you been tracking any just future next generation OEMs?
So I was in China recently, and shocking. You know how Porsche, I can't remember how you're supposed to say it. They have the Porsche Taycan, which is the electric superstar.
Yeah.
And then you go to China, and there's Xiaomi, who has this. I don't even know what the Xiaomi is called.
I think it's the SU7 is the one you're thinking.
Okay,
of.
very good.
Looks exactly like the Cayenne.
And I rode in this car. So first of all, the Taycan is $120,000 or $130,000.
Yeah.
This thing is $40,000.
Yeah.
And it looks the same. So they just copy the look of it. And I get in, and like 7 years ago, the interior quality then was rubbish. Everything was cracking, felt like it was going to fall apart. Yeah. And then you start driving, and the handling also then feels rubbish. And now I'm in this. The interior quality is perfection. It's just beautiful. It drives awesomely. Has more power than the Porsche Taycan, has more range than the Porsche Taycan. Yep. So it was proper scary. I was like, oh my God, like what? This is shocking. And then let me just finish. You would say, okay, but Porsche still has their brand. But even that is gone, because the Xiaomi founder is a rock star in China. He's like the Elon Musk of China. He has a huge social media following. So even the brand moat is gone in China. So it feels like it's just complete game over there, and it's happening. And they're coming to Europe too, which is so scary. Now BYD just overtook Tesla as the best-selling electric car in Europe. So it's a really watershed moment and super critical moment for the automotive sector. Yeah, but and then in terms of startups. I think I'm not seeing much at the moment, really.
It's really CapEx intensive, and a lot of those businesses have.
Even BYD, for example. Yeah. So if you look at BYD and NIO, I believe they got 10 billion in government subsidies in order for them to get to where they are now in terms of taking on the world.
Yep.
But that is never going to happen in Europe. You're never going to have the European government supporting a startup with 10 billion or a car company with 10 billion in order to become global electric vehicle manufacturing leaders, So, tough to compete against that, isn't it?
Last question from my side. Did you have a reaction? Did you see the F1 movie? Did you have a reaction to Apple's F1 movie? What'd you think if you saw it?
Yeah, so the honest answer is I haven't seen it yet because I was holding out to see it with my wife, and then that didn't work out for some reason, whatever.
Yeah, you have kids.
And so we're still holding out, and we're probably going to do a cinema night at our house here in Monaco. Yeah. With any friends left that have not yet seen it, maybe we'll do a cinema night next week or something.
Well,
but I hear great things. Of course it's Hollywood, it's fake, but I hear great things, and it was amazing. I was at the racetrack, and Brad Pitt was on the real grid just before the race starts with his race car. Yeah. And he had a real garage in the pit lane with his race car, like at the real race, the race start, and he's there. Like, it's so crazy how they put that together. And then with virtual reality, they overlaid his car onto one of the real racing cars in the race for this. It's pretty impressive. So anyways, I hear good things, and I think it's a great step again for F1.
Yeah, total American F1 dominance.
What are you guys most excited about in the startup world? What's the last thing that you've seen which you're raving about?
Ooh, that's really hard to put on the spot. In the startup world, at the earliest stages, we've been seeing a lot of folks work on new AI hardware devices, and there was one that just put out a video about where it looks like headphones, but it measures the electrical signals in your jaw, and so you're just whispering. You're not even making any noise, but you're talking like, making mouth movements, and it can transcribe that into an app.
Text.
So I can be talking to you across a crowded room, and you can hear me and I can hear you, but no one else can hear us. And if you imagine about voice interfaces in the future where you're talking to ChatGPT or any LLM all day long, being able to do that in a public place or randomly, that feels like that could be the next like big thing. There's a rumor that Sam Altman's working on that with Johnny Ive. So that was something where it's like there's going to be a new wave of some sort of input technology, pre-Neuralink. But
yeah, on my side, this has been such an insane year on so many levels. You have geopolitical chaos, you have warfare, you have assassinations, tragedies. There's so much uncertainty. There's so much negativity in the world. And from our point of view, we get to interview talented builders every single day. We've interviewed hundreds of founders this year. And that is like the bright spot to me, is like across every industry and any sector that's important to the world, there are bright, optimistic people that are dedicating their lives to solving problems, from logistics to autonomous vehicles to new consumer hardware. Like any category, there are bright people that are dedicating their lives. And so I think that's like the white pill for me, is when I think about how chaotic and crazy the world, and there's a lot of, like John said, tragedy, but at the same time there's people at an individual level are committed to changing the world. And so I think it's much easier to be like incredibly optimistic about the future and not give in to the doom when you have our job. And I know it's the same for you as well, in terms of meeting talented people that are dedicating their lives to solving real problems in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. There's so much hope in the startup world, so much ambition. It's really, really impressive. By the way, I met the founder that you were talking about with that optical device on the year. I know him. Cool. Yeah, I know him very well. And Kleiner Perkins, which is like perhaps one of the, the best VC firm at the moment, or one of the best. Yeah. They're backing him.
Fantastic.
So I know him well.
I wonder if you just
broke the news.
Broke the news there. But that's amazing.
But yeah, I mean,
how often do you visit?
No, I didn't break news. Come on, we don't know. You didn't mention any names or anything. We're all good.
Yeah. We know nothing. It's just a rumor. How often do you come to the U.S.?
So I have to. Of course, it's important for me to be there. So I'm there about once every 2-3 months. So quite a lot. Coming there quite a lot. Yeah.
Well, next time you're in LA.
I love hosting at F1 races also. So I'm constantly hosting all your friends from the Bay Area and New York also at the races. So I host everybody in Miami, hosting everybody again now at Vegas, which is lovely. It's very cool.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time on a late evening to chat with us. We had a lot of fun talking to you.
Come back on anytime.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you.
I just got an email in my top right corner where I'm going to find out if I get accepted to one of the very best funds in the US, and I'm going to click on it.
Amazing.
And it's been a 5-day fight with all-nighters and everything because of technical complications, whatever.
Yes.
Because it's so hard.
Yeah.
They're like, everybody's like 2x oversubscribed. It's like crazy times in the US.
Yeah.
Do you want to open it live?
Open the email. Give us the reaction.
If I get a negative, thanks for your patience. Can you still? Oh man, we are going ahead. Yeah. Okay, yes. Can you still see me actually?
Yes, we can. Wait,
we did it! We did it!
Yes!
Hit the gong!
Congratulations! We got a fund allocation for Rosberg Ventures. Let's go!
We were gonna end the show.
We were gonna give them a call
and we were gonna drive to Sand Hill and say, correct this right now. This is an injustice.
But that is fantastic news. Congratulations.
Let me narrow it down for you as well. Who it was? Come on, at least for some fun. So
okay. Yeah.
It's between something like Thrive, Axel, Green Oaks or Elad
Okay. These are great firms.
It's one of those four.
Okay, those are great firms. Let's go. Shout out to all the absolute boys.
Amazing. Well, you should get the other three too.
Why not? Get the full stack. We'll make some calls.
Maybe we have all of them already.
Thank you so much for hopping on the show. This is fantastic.
Yeah, great to hang.
We'd love to talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Talk soon.
Bye.
High stakes.
High stakes. He lives his life on the edge. That's a real F1 driver move to open and
live for a live audience and potentially getting rejected.
We have our next guest in the Restream waiting room.
Michael.
Really quickly, let me tell you about IDEO, customer relationship magic. IDEO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. You can get started for free. We have our next guest, two-timer. We got Michael.
What's up,
with
guys?
the TBPN hat. Thank you.
Let's go.
Great sign of respect.
I gotta do my part, guys.
Thank you so much for hopping on.
I didn't have one of the hats.
We will get you one. We will get you one.
One day, Nir.
We were oversubscribed, actually. I think we made a couple hundred of them, and not nearly enough. But thank you so much for hopping on the stream. Let's just kick it off with some intros for those who are listening.
Nir, take it away. Take it away, Nir.
I'm Nir Zicherman. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Oboe, and the other co-founder is my good friend Mike here.
What's up, guys? Great to be back. Obviously, we've spoken a number of times. I'm one of the co-founders of Oboe and also a partner at Lightspeed. And Nir and I had previously co-founded Anchor, which we sold to Spotify.
No way. Putting the gang back together.
200.
I love it. No, that's
anyways,
fantastic.
let's get into the news. So you guys launched. Are you guys?
What's
what
the product? How are you positioning?
Is it a beta? Yeah, is it a beta? Is it
GA
thing? GA? What's going on?
Yeah, so we're out there. Oboe is live to the world, and it is the easiest way to learn anything. So you come to our website, oboe.fyi, single prompt, we will magically create a course to teach anyone anything.
Yep.
When I say anything, I really mean anything. Mike and I were talking earlier. What was the example we had? We had you could learn about how to cook pasta, and you could learn about the quantum physics of how cooking pasta works if you wanted to. So truly a broad range of topics. And with Oboe courses, we let you learn in a variety of different ways, right? So you come in, again, we magically create a course, and it is made up of everything from the ability to read about the topic, short form, long form, to listen to a podcast about it, two hosts like yourselves talking about whatever the topic, completely personalized to the user. We have games, we have quizzes, a totally immersive experience to let you learn.
Yeah. I saw a screenshot from none other than Martin Shkreli saying this was very cool. And it showed, it felt like a lot of the Anchor DNA was in there, in the sense of, when I think about Anchor, it's like you have an MP3 and you need it on a lot of different, and you need to instantiate it in many different ways. Distribution is multi-platform. And you have essentially like some sort of deep research project going on collecting information, organizing it with LLMs, I'm sure, but then instantiating it in a summary, a deep dive, an audio product. So talk about the multimodality, where you see that going in the near term. When are we going to get video in here at some point? I could imagine with VO3 and some of the advances there, eventually you'll be able to just like sit in on a 1 hour generated video lecture if that's what you want. I don't know if anyone wants that long term, but where do you see all the different multimodalities going?
I actually think a lot of people do want video. It's in the works. We are working on it. And to me, people spend hours on YouTube constantly trying to learn and explore curiosities. The reality is people are online learning constantly. You just don't think about it as learning. You're on tons of different websites, tons of different apps, trying to figure out, understanding things in the news, understanding what you read, trying to get, you're curious about things and you want to dig in. People do not learn in one path, and they don't learn with one format. So a core philosophy of ours is, if you're going to build a learring platform, you have to learn it the way that people actually learn. And the way that people actually learn is multimodal, right? It's immersive. Mike, what do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the beauty of the multimodality is it lets people learn on their terms. One of the reasons we started this company is we sort of looked at education and we looked at learning, and we realized that the way people learn right now is too rigid. It's too one size fits all, right? You have higher education and traditional education teaching every single person on the planet the same thing in the same exact way. And that's just not how we all learn. We all learn in different ways. Some of us like to read, some of us like to listen, some of us like to watch TikTok. And so what we realized is we have this technology now that can personalize learning for anyone on the planet. And so it would be a shame to not actually do that and make the most personalized form of education ever before.
How are you thinking about gamification? I seem to remember you guys had badges in the first app and to kind of help someone get over the curve of actually distributing a show. We're seeing, both like resilience and the stocks all over the place with Duolingo, but it feels like Duolingo has done a great job of taking an education product and making it fun and repetitive and maybe even a little addictive. And it seems like that is a piece of the goal, but how do you think about the various trade-offs there?
Look, I think gamification is key. I think the main reason gamification is key and accessibility and making it fun is key is because learning is intimidating. Most people who want to learn something new, they look at how you do it and they just get intimidated and they turn away. And that's why so much of what we've built and what we'll continue to build is around making it really digestible, really piecemeal, like Mike said, putting it in the control of the user so that they could decide how they want to navigate things. I think any course on Oboe should be presented to a user today and in the future as you can do this. We're going to help guide you through it, right? But we're going to put enough tools in your hands so that you could be the one to guide the system and let it know how to effectively teach you.
How are you guys thinking about solving for hallucinations? If you can remember a teacher that taught you something and it was wrong, it's like it just completely destroys the trust. Like it's hard to. You're like, you said that this event happened in 1970 and it actually happened in 1950.
Yeah. I mean, what would we be as a 2025 AI startup without a multi-agent architecture, right? Nir,
let's give it up for
explain our multi-agent architecture.
Let me tell you about our multi-agent architecture. Look, the big challenge and a lot of what we spent resources on over the last year building this thing was on how do you present to the user really high quality engaging content that is accurate extremely quickly. Because for this content to be lightweight and accessible, it has to happen fast, right? So the way that this works under the hood is like this. I think honestly, the toughest challenge is an orchestration challenge. It's how do you simultaneously have an agent generating, the skeleton of the course and the references that it's going to pull in and the script for the audio and fact check all this stuff, agents correcting other agents, and all that happens within seconds of you generating a course, and it's going to continue to get better. Look, hallucinations, I think, the reality is, I think, right now, people primarily learn through resources that are completely unchecked. And so I think one of the biggest advantages that we want to invest in is making sure that when people come here, they feel confident that they're getting the highest quality and the most accurate.
Well, congratulations on the launch. I'm excited to try it out. My challenge for you, I don't know if either of you play the Oboe. You need to use Oboe to learn to play the Oboe. You need to dog food your own product. Next time we have you on the show,
that's the goal.
I expect a solo on the Oboe.
Oboe solo.
Oboe solo. Let's make it happen.
Congrats.
I think it's a great idea.
You should.
Guys, let me just say one more thing, if you don't mind. Yeah. I know you got another guest coming on. We are investing a lot of money in AI. We've invested like $1 trillion at this point or something. Yeah. It seems crazy to us that we have invested so much money into a technology that's going to make an alien life form that's actually smarter than us. Sure. And so the whole purpose of this company is to actually use the artificial intelligence to make the humans smarter. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do here. It's actually, let's pour that investment back into human intelligence. All right. We're bringing human intelligence back.
Organic intelligence, farm to table.
That's right.
Farm to table intelligence.
I'm excited to check it out. It's we cover like hundreds of topics a show. There's often times where we're coming into a show and we have like 10 minutes to prep on something that we know nothing about. And I have a feeling that Oboe is going to be a great solution for it. So thank you guys for joining and congrats on the launch.
Fantastic. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Have a good rest of your day.
Next up, we have
Amjad
from Replit coming in.
While he's coming in from the Restream Rating Room, I'll tell you about 8sleep.com. Get a Pod 5 Ultra, 5-year warranty, 30-night risk-free trial, free returns, free shipping. You heard Nico Rosberg talk about the importance of sleep. You need an 8-sleep. Anyway, we have
TBPN.
Amjad from Replit in the Restream Waiting Room, bringing him in. He has some fantastic news for us. Break it down. Welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me here, guys. Good to see you again.
Look fantastic. You look, just great lighting. You look healthy. You look like you're deadlifting more than ever. I feel like there's been a PR in the recent history. I wonon't hold you to it.
I've done a bit of a PR on just getting healthier in general. Actually, weightlifting is really bad for you. Powerlifting, especially. Because once you start chasing weights,
sure,
you're fine with getting fat, and you're fine with anything.
Sure,
you're willing to die to add that extra pound on your lift, and it's just a bad sport in general.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, John and I go back and forth here. John's very fixated on constant improvement in the gym. Mm-hmm. I'm more so like I want to be strong and healthy, but anyways, what did Delian say the other week? It's like you're always either like adding to your 1 rep max or losing. So
it's one way or the other.
Did you see what Grown Daniel said about powerlifting?
What do you say?
It's like if you want to look ugly and feel shit, take up powerlifting.
Yeah, it's not for the aesthetics for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, PR on fundraising. So congrats on that. What's the news?
Thank you. Yeah, we raised $250 million.
Congratulations.
Let's go.
Let's go.
At a $3 billion valuation, led by Prism Capital, with Amex and Google joining the round, and a bunch of our lovely investors such as Andreessen, YC, and others kind of doubling down.
Fantastic. Massive takeoff, fast takeoff in revenue and users. Like the vibe coding era is definitely a narrative that's on a tear right now. Correct?
Yeah, but we're actually trying to change the game a little bit.
Okay,
I think vibe coding is awesome.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like what Replit is and what I've been trying to do for a long time is make it so that anyone can make software.
Sure.
Vibe coding is still somewhat coding. You're still sitting in front of an IDE, and like most people don't want to do that. Like a lot of people like it, but people just want to solve problems, start startups.
Yep.
That's why they do, coding. And so Replit Agent 3, our target is for it to feel like a human developer, for it to work on your behalf. And so the main target we set from like a research perspective is, can we make it run for 200 minutes? So when we went from Agent 1 to Agent 2, went from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. So now from 20 minutes to 200 minutes. And actually, I'm seeing people show me apps they built that it's taking 4 hours on its own. Wow. It can boot up a browser window, test the app for you. It can run unit tests. It can review its code. And we have this adversarial relationship between like Claude and GPT-5, Gemini arguing and fighting. And so it's like this multi-agent system. And it's really the state-of-the-art autonomous coding agent. And so the idea is not to vibe code. The idea is to build things, and oftentimes you don't even have to be in front of the computer for that to happen.
How big of an opportunity is mobile?
Mobile is huge. So a lot of our customers are actually executives. So I was at the All In Summit. We hosted the AI dinner, brought down from Seattle, Lloyd Frink from the co-founder of Zillow. And he is Replit's champion at the firm, right? This is executive chairman of the board. And a lot of his times in between meetings and things like that. So he can like boot up Replit on his phone. And we have a lot of other CEOs. I've heard the story secondhand that, Vlad from Robinhood would like prototype applications on Replit on his phone in meetings to kind of show engineers what they should go and build. And so I think it really changes the game. It's no longer about being a computer nerd sitting in front of a computer. It's about making things, whether it's on your phone, on your, hopefully in the future, even, you can just talk to Replit via your headphones and it just goes and does the thing.
Yep. No, I think that there's that meme of like where you sit in the org is correlated to how many monitors you have, right? And it's like the person who's like keeping the entire app online, like the genius systems engineer has 3 monitors. Then like the product manager has like, one extra monitor and a laptop that they take to meetings. And then the CEO is just on their phone all the time. And giving the CEO or executive who's just on their phone the ability to express themselves in software is extremely powerful. I'm interested. Oh, sorry.
How do you think about projecting and forecasting market size of code generation broadly because Replit was early to this space, but it's heavily competitive via, there was even, now that I think about it, at demo day, there was the other day, there was a company that I was kind of thinking when I heard the pitch, like, this feels like basically like a feature of Replit, right? So it's just like hyper competitive space, but at the same time, the world wants
test flight specifically. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah. But the world just wants more and more and more code, and the cheaper you make it to make code, the more the world wants it. But I'm curious how you think about kind of the overall market opportunity.
First of all, super vindicated, right? Like I've been talking about this since I was a teenager. I was working at Code Academy, and we were saying anyone can learn to code. Everyone wants to make software, and everyone's like, "Well, you should learn to be a plumber because everyone needs plumbing." I was like, "No, it's different. Like we need an abundance of code. You don't need an abundance of plumbing." And some people,
that's hilarious. That's a good line.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. Like I think we lit a fire and now the forest is on fire, right? But and that's always I think good. I think there's a zero sum market and there's a positive sum market. The zero sum market is a professional engineering market. You see the Copilot versus Cursor chart, and as Cursor is rising, Copilot is going in market share. That's a zero sum market. Now you see it with Codex and Claude Code, and so there's only so many tools that software engineers can use. But like I said, executives are making software, salespeople, marketing people, doctors, nurses, everyone. At this point, over the past year, I've heard every profession under the sun has used Replit in some use case. And so I think the market size is probably the market size of software, the market size of computers. Right. And by the way, this is the original vision of computing when the original creators of computers, that's what they envisioned. They envisioned that you buy a computer and you program it. That's how you use it. They didn't envision the software industry. And I think that's the true essence of, how computing could be really, really powerful is the ability for anyone to program it. So that's one. Another we did a one more thing as part of our Agent 3 announcement. And it's a sort of this low-key launch that I think will transform our business over time. And it's the ability for Replit Agent to make other agents. So we've gotten really good at making agents, and now we're imbuing that knowledge into the agent itself. And what we're finding in the enterprise is that a lot of people want to solve problems. Software as a means of solving problems. You create an app, and then you use that app to take an action, right? But a lot of times, an agent can take an action on your behalf. And so you can create an HR agent, a sales agent. There's so many things that could be automated. And there's an entire industry that's going to emerge around vertical agents, and that's fine. But a lot of times you need a very domain-specific, like HR onboarding agent for the idiosyncratic, bespoke way we do onboarding in our company. And the only person who knows how to do it is one HR ops person at our company. And so, now agents can make other agents. And that market size is also dizzyingly large because that starts to displace white-collar labor in many ways.
On the topic of just more and more code endlessly, I'm interested to know how you think instantiation of code will live in the consumer world over time. And I'll give you an example. So I've fired off deep research reports in OpenAI's ChatGPT. I've also once gone to Claude Code and said, with same prompt, do all the deep research, but then instantiate it as an HTML site that is mobile responsive and can use all different HTML tables. And you can tell that when deep research fills in from ChatGPT, it has the ability to use Markdown and create a table, but it can't just pull a random JavaScript library and create an interactive bar chart. It can't randomly throw images in and add all these different divs that you could possibly do on HTML. And so I was thinking about, are we going to get to a world where you open up your favorite LLM chat app, and in order to answer the problem. It's building a widget, building a piece of software. The same way when you go to Google and you ask for 2 + 2, it just gives you a calculator, an actual HTML calculator. Right. You can instantiate that calculator in code. And so I'm wondering 100%. How you think the market will look in like 5, I don't know, 10 years or something. Like, how much code is written?
I think you hit on something super important. I think it is easy to look at this and say this is the market for code gen.
Yeah.
No, it's a market for software.
Yeah.
Again, if you go back to history, when Turing wrote his 1936 paper that invented the computer, the Turing machine, it's about universal computation. Is that computers can be these dynamic systems, right? And initially computers were these fancy calculators. You couldn't program them in software. You had to kind of rewire them. And then von Neumann in the 40s, 50s created the stored program computer. And the idea is that you can suddenly program them. And every computer we have right now is a von Neumann machine. And I think this moment is as big as that moment. You went from static computers to programmable computers. Now we're going from static software to dynamic and malleable software. So every piece of software application you're going to be working with will be generating software on the fly, pulling packages on the fly, and creating bespoke software for your use case. So, instead of like going and buying Tableau to do this one exact thing, you can go to Replit or Manus, or even ChatGPT will do it in the future and all of that. And depending on how depth of the power is, I think Replit is going to be the most powerful.
Sure.
But of course, you can use any of the other tools, and they're going to generate the bespoke software that you need for that exact use case. And I think that's a very exciting future.
Yeah, there will be sort of like continuum
when you see
complexity.
When you see some of these insane cloud backlogs where you have like Google and Microsoft and Oracle and everybody's reporting like we have backlogs in the hundreds of billions, and I think Wall Street looks at that and they say, okay, where's this revenue really gonna? How is this revenue?
That's not what I mean. Sorry, but like that's not what Wall Street's reaction was. Wall Street's reaction was like, "Oh, the money's in the bank. Like, let's drive the stock higher."
Well,
but yes,
sure.
I'm saying
so more critical investors are saying like, that's a lot of money being thrown around, totally. A lot of numbers. How do you make it? But on your side, as you see, the entire market of software shifting from we make software and we sell a lot of times to we make software continuously for the needs of our business. Mm-hmm. Do those kind of backlogs start to make sense to you?
I think so. Look, I'm not an investor. We might be in a bubble in the short term, but I am confident that the long-term value of this technology, especially as it pertains to LLMs making software, is massive. In some sense, it's going to displace existing value. So that's in the vertical point solution SaaS space. I think it'll start doing some jobs that otherwise humans have been doing. So that the existing value capture from the existing market. But it's also going to fundamentally change how we use computers, how we run our businesses. Businesses can be a lot more efficient. I think that an economist or a philosopher need to start thinking about what the future of work would look like when everyone has a fully autonomous programmer in their pocket. Mm-hmm. It's, every company is bottlenecked by software. Every company in the world, from one-person company to a 100,000 person company. So when your finance team needed this data to be pipelined from Stripe and other places so they can run certain analysis, they're bottlenecked by data engineering. But if I can let loose, Replit or Cloud Code, whatever, and just say go figure out these data sources and plumb them in so I can run SQL queries on them, and then 3 or 4 hours later you have that ready, then you unblocked yourself, you created massive improvements to your processes, and also you don't need the engineers to go work on the side quest, and they can focus on the core software that the company is building.
Fantastic. We went viral last time asking you advice for young people. Let's get your updated thinking. Should you learn to code in 2025?
What do you want to do, I would say? Do you want to start a startup? Go fucking start a startup. Go to Replit, put your idea in, and in 20 minutes you'll get a prototype. And then once you have a better idea of what you want to build, You can put in a larger prompt and have it run for 3 hours and then come back to you with a product that maybe you can release even in the first day. Is that what you want to do? Now, you want to be a specialist. You want to go work on, writing provable C software for the, next Apollo program. Yeah, go get a PhD in computer science. But really, it comes down to what you want to do. I think the future is entrepreneurship, and not just entrepreneurship in building businesses, but also what we're seeing is there's a lot of entrepreneurs within companies that are creating tremendous value. We hear of companies all the time, employees using Replit, creating millions of dollars of revenue for their company. And they're not engineers, they're operations people, product managers, and all sorts of people are now empowered to do that. But I think the main skill, the main set of skills is going to be resourcefulness. I think the worst thing you could do is do what you're told today. The worst thing you could do is perhaps listen to your parents. And here we go. Maybe that goes wild.
There we go. That was a great answer.
Because, look, I think that, all the advice is outdated. And I think we're entering a very dynamic era. And I think, especially young people need to think for themselves. They'll know much better than their teachers, their parents, everyone else, what they need to focus on, what kind of skills they need to learn.
Thank you so
to
much
be able
for
to
taking
make
the
things.
time.
The robots will do all of the process.
Yep.
You just need to ideate and
the
create
era,
things.
the ideas.
Yeah, that's true. The
process.
human spirit. That we're never going to lose that. That's the human spirit.
I agree. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Congrats on the new round.
Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
See you
guys.
See you.
Cheers.
Soon. Bye. Let me tell you about public.com, investing for those that take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields, and trusted by millions. Up next, we have Alex from Higgsfield AI in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him in to the TBPN Ultra Dome. Welcome to the stream, Alex. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Give us the news. Do you have anything to share on the fundraising side?
Yeah, for sure. Guys, happy to announce that we raised 50 million, and we purposefully picked you guys.
Oh, what?
As you represent the new media.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you so much.
I got a little excited. Continue. You said
I think you were saying something very nice about how we're neatly organized. We're just like banging gongs and stuff. Anyway, I'll let you talk. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we're just excited to support this new wave of creators who are social media native.
Yeah.
And I think TBPN is a great example of what it means to be social media native and don't be the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
So that's for us. We also are excited to share some stats today.
Please.
In just 5 months after the launch, we probably crossed over 1.3 billion views on social media. All the content generated with Higgsfield crossed over 1 billion views on social media.
That is crazy. Congratulations.
That's what kind of power law is there in that?
Yeah, is there one? Because if you had the Pope wearing the puffy jacket, that could be like 200 million views. Or is it more? Yeah. What does the power law look like? What's the most interesting image you've seen?
Look, I think what matters today is consistency. You guys go out every day, right?
Yeah.
Higgsfield releases every day. And successful creators, they have to post like 5 times a day on social media, some short snippets. I think frequency and relevancy is what matters.
What are the most interesting use cases that you're seeing? The Nano, there was obviously the Studio Ghibli launch where we got the ability to create cartoons. Nano Banana, I saw a lot of people just swapping clothing. Has there been kind of a killer use case that you've seen where you've gone to maybe friends who aren't, reading the deep dive, how to prompt all these threads, and just said, hey, we got this specific thing covered. You're going to have a great experience if you use Higgsfield in this way.
For sure. Primarily, Higgsfield stands behind creators, and really supporting creators is the primary goal. And we integrate all the best tooling, including the Nano Banana, which you mentioned. Sure. One of the most surprising use cases where we see a lot of traction is actually product placements. And we are excited to see Higgsfield being adopted by Fortune 500 companies
sure.
to really put their products to work to get traction on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Higgsfield proprietary models like Higgsfield Soul come into the play. As those large brands, they create own AI digital spokespersons to really promote the brands.
Mm-hmm. Talk about Higgsfield Ventures. Pretty uncommon for companies to launch venture funds so early, but obviously Slack had a fund, Stripe's invested a ton. What's the thinking there?
First and foremost, we just received a lot of inbounds. How can we get the access to Higgsfield models?
Sure.
How we can grow the same way as Higgsfield. Mm-hmm. And we thought that there is a need to explain to developers, to support the next wave of AI startups. Mm-hmm. And that's why we launched Higgsfield Ventures. So really the program is not focused on like just on a traditional venture investing. It is around sharing the growth playbooks and providing unique access to the technology.
Are you worried if you give people the playbooks and the models that they'll come and compete with you? Or is it, or are you positive sum?
We have contrarian view on that, to be honest. Look, I think that there is a traditional way to build a company, and that's very often in the technology space. Before, it really required to raise a lot of funding and burn money. And we have seen that recently. Andreessen and Martin Casado, they pushed this consensus-driven investing narrative a lot, which obviously benefits them, as they probably have the largest fund in the world. In the same time, today, what we are observing is that there is a new next generation of AI lean startups like Higgsfield, which are actually profitable, profitable almost from the day one.
Wow!
And we believe that this is this next wave is probably going to be as large as VC-backed startups, and I think we can support the creation of these next generation startups.
How did you pitch this latest round? You know, if somebody's giving you $50 million, I presume they would like you to at least be $1 billion company someday. What is Higgsfield as a multi-billion-dollar company look like? And what's your kind of, if you had a crystal ball, what would paint us a picture?
For sure. I think it is quite simple. A lot of people got superpower with self-expression thanks to social media and mobile phones. A lot of people are probably still shy to do that, and Gen AI is just going to propel self-expression. And essentially, we believe that in 3 years, every second video is going to be AI generated, and it's going to be AI generated with Higgsfield. So the impact is going to be way bigger than just, let's say, building video version of Canva. I think this is going to be a transformative movement in the social media space.
And that's because today every piece of content that's produced has some sort of cost, and as more and more content is produced with AI, you guys can effectively capture some of the costs that would have been spent on traditional video production, whether it's just somebody with the phone and their time in their hand, or it's sort of a more produced shoot. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, for sure. The cost is an important factor, but it's not just that. Look, I mean, for a live show, you guys clearly kill this, but you bring the best people in the industry. Like, you see the lineup today.
Yeah.
No one else can bring I'm not talking about myself, obviously, right? But there are other people whom you bring, and they do not typically show up in the live shows. But many people cannot really do the same stuff which you do. But people have ideas like how they can make shows, like, let's say, cartoons for kids, how they can make fantasy content, and so on. And before Gen AI, it was impossible for those creators to really create content for social media, and all the content which we are seeing today is primarily just live content. Like, people just recording themselves. So Gen AI is just gonna, like, I think we should expect that amounts of number of different genres or types of the content is just gonna 10x from what we have today.
Totally.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Great to get the update.
Congrats.
You guys have been crushing it.
The round. We will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Alex.
Thank you.
Our next guest is already in the Restream waiting room. Let me tell you about AdQuick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. Our next guest is from Bain Capital, Stefan Cohen. Welcome.
Here he is.
TBPN Ultra Dome.
What's happening?
Hey guys, everyone.
Great to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Good to meet you guys too. Thanks for having me.
What's give us a quick backstory on yourself, and then there's a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, quick background on me. So I've been at Bain for 10 years now. I joined from one of our portfolio companies in the data center software space called Turbonomic. I was an early employee there, post Series A. We sold that business to IBM for a couple billion, and I joined BCV as a partner, focused on early stage investing. And about 5 years ago, we decided to spin off a dedicated crypto business, Bain Capital Crypto, which I'm one of the co-leads on. And it's been a really, really fun and interesting run. We've been investing in the space for about a decade now.
Awesome. What is like the crypto strategy? Is it a mix of privates and active trading? Like what's the actual strategy?
Yeah, so the setup is kind of the core premise when we launched the firm was that we thought that a lot of value would accrue to protocols. And so we felt like we needed a flexible mandate to be able to buy liquid crypto and also invest in early stage projects. So the fund is very flexible in that manner. We have liquid tokens that we purchase on the open market. And then we also have seed through Series C, D investments that we've done. We try to not be active traders. We don't think that's the most productive use of our time. We think of these as like kind of long hold positions that we'll build real concentration in.
How has it felt like when you think about the not deep history in crypto, but let's say like 2020 to 2024, it felt like the technology was just being handicapped by the regulatory environment. You had this mix of, as an investor, you'd invest, let's say, on a SAFT or a SAFE plus a warrant, and then there's these sort of like two assets. You have a token that's trading, and then you have like the actual equity in the company, and that always felt like there were some key areas that it made sense. But then a lot of points you're like, what do I actually own here? Where's the value gonna accrue? With the updated regulatory environment, meaning that kind of feels like you can do almost anything now. Where is value going to accrue? Are we going to see crypto projects really try to tie the equity value to the token, or are we still going to see these kind of like dual approaches?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what folks are building. The sort of like early premises of investing in crypto protocols, which are these like decentralized apps or blockchains themselves, was that the tokens kind of are like equity-like looking instruments where based on the usage of the protocol, they accrue fees through usage, and then they have a cash flow profile, and you can kind of fundamentally value them. And they're not owned by any single party. They have governance rights where they can vote on code contributions to the application or the blockchain that they're tied to. And I think that core principle hasn't changed. And so for those types of protocols, that's very true. I think structurally things have shifted. We had to do a lot of sort of heroics pre this administration to ensure that we were protected from a regulatory standpoint when we were doing token launches. And so a lot of these teams would basically have like an equity company, you'd be issued token warrants, and then at the point of issuing the token, you would have an offshore foundation that would actually issue the token itself, and the investors would have rights to that. I think most projects right now kind of have that legacy model. I don't know that many are actually trying new and different models for
I guess what I was trying to get at is like, what's after this sort of foundation model? Is there enough regulatory clarity that that you could establish kind of a new model, or is it now been workshopped enough and trialed enough that it actually is the right model for the future? And that
I think the model works fine. I mean, I suspect people will try other different structures, but the fundamental problem with the model is you end up with this like equity company that oftentimes doesn't have any real value associated with it. And there is some, we've had to deal with some things with legacy portfolio companies where they either need to shut those down or sort of allocate their balance sheet over to the foundation. But that seems to not be like the fundamental shift from a regulatory standpoint right now. I think the fundamental shift is that founders are now emboldened to be able to go build again, which is really exciting.
Tell me about the hyperstition investing thesis. I've never heard any VC put that in such stark terms before.
Yeah, I think there's sort of this like consistent pattern that we've recognized with the most outstanding founders and companies that we've had a chance to work with, which is that their ideas are initially disgusting and really hard to believe. It's sort of if you think of this like this bell curve of companies at the beginning, it's like offensive. And then once you get closer to mass market adoption, everyone's kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then usually there's like a trough of illusionment where everyone's lost faith in it. And maybe that was like, post 2021 crypto in a way.
Yep.
But there's been this consistent theme with founders, which is that many that are starting out that have sort of these views of what the world should look like and how the world should be sort of shaped around their values and principles, in the beginning seem kind of unreal. And we increasingly have learned that like the real art to this is to investing with these sort of long tail outcomes is to work with those founders and believe in them with capital, not just with our belief as a group, but we're really like in search of those types of ideas. And I think the two examples that we really point to, one was Crusoe when they were raising their seed financing. It was kind of an unbelievable idea, which was like, we're going to go off into the oil fields and build data centers that are capturing flared natural gas, and we'll scale those to eventually handle AI level compute. I mean, it was so crazy that at the time, like they actually had to go and build a box at the time it was in Colorado to show that the model actually worked. And more recently, we've had the privilege of being involved with WorldCoin, which outside in is this sort of decentralized identity network. But the real notion is that in the future, and I think we're starting to feel this more and more now, it's very hard to tell what's real and what's not on the internet. And we sort of view this model of trust in the internet is breaking right now. And one of the core premises of trust is like, are you even talking to me right now? Did I tweet the thing that I tweeted earlier? And so this notion that proof of humanness and proof of identity in a sort of globally distributed internet native way is very important. And so we're on the hunt for those types of ideas, and that's part of what makes the job really fun.
Do you believe in the Landian idea that capitalism is a time-traveling artificial intelligence?
I don't know that I've heard this idea. You'll have to explain it to me.
The idea is that artificial intelligence existed in the future at some point and built a time machine and came back and invented capitalism because capital acceleration will by nature create artificial intelligence. And that is the Landian acceleration path that we're on. I don't know. I'm getting too deep in the weeds.
I like it. I mean, yeah, I like it. One of the things that I'm always kind of struck by is how like innovation breeds solutions.
Sure.
And AI is like obviously a manifestation of that, but even in the crypto world, like stable coins weren't really invented to solve the US debt issue, but like a byproduct of inventing these like digital dollars.
The debt across the entire world.
Yeah. And so I'm sort of like, I continue to just be like hit in the face with these moments where like, man, it's almost too perfect.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's right.
Yeah.
Stable coins are now regulated in the U.S. or have a framework, and which is wild thinking about the stablecoin businesses that were started when there just was no real clarity. So, obviously credit to them for having faith. How do you think foreign governments will respond over time to USDC and USDT and other stablecoins gaining adoption in there? Because as an American, the idea of sort of outsourcing our debt problem or spreading it around the world sounds great. But if you're a foreign government, you want people Turkey's paying 40%, on their bonds right now, and if everybody in the country can get access to that, I guess that's a mechanism for them to get people to keep their capital in the Turkish system. But yeah, how do you expect foreign governments to respond?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, on the one hand, they already were doing it, right? They were buying our debt all over the place. It's more recent than not that other governments have sort of been, moving out of U.S. treasuries. But what I view as happening right now is really we're transitioning from sovereign governments owning our debt to other people holding our debt, right? It's if you think about really what's happening with stablecoins is that businesses and individuals outside of the U.S., particularly right now. I think over time the U.S. will become more of a center of adoption here, but really the $250 billion of issuance is just people and businesses offshore that want a more stable access to dollars. And I think some governments obviously will try to do capital controls and prevent that from happening. I think many view it as if they can plug into the system well, Brazil in particular is, I don't know if you guys have tracked what's happening with Nubank and Pix and stablecoins, but there's quite streamlined interoperability there. And if users have to transact in local currency in that economy, then they're forced to go back and forth. But certainly some governments will take an adversarial view of it.
Yeah, but some governments have more gain than lose, so they'll take it, which is great.
Yeah.
Play that eagle sound, Jordy.
There we go.
America. Thank you so much for having
Thanks for joining, Stefan.
We'll talk to you soon.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Yeah, speak soon.
Go to getbezel.com. Your Bezel concierge is available now to source you any watch on the planet. Seriously, any watch. Our next guest is in the Restream waiting room. We will bring him in and to the TBPN Ultradome and continue today's show. We have Rohan from Sphinx AI, I believe.
What's happening?
Hey,
welcome to the show.
Great to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for hopping on. Give us a breakdown. Introduce yourself. What are you building? What's the news?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm Rohan. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Sphinx. Sphinx is a company that is solving AI for data, and specifically we're razor focused on the idea that large language models and AI today are really good at text. They're good at code, which is just a type of text, good at images. What they're not good at is the type of tabular, semi-structured time series information that makes most of the world work, everything from supply chains to high finance to manufacturing. We're bridging that gap and delivering copilots that can think about data natively and help people get from piles of raw information to valuable business ideas, what we call alphas in finance, but can be extended to almost any industry.
Interesting. Who's the first customer in finance then?
Yeah, first customer in finance. Don't know if I have the rights to name them, but we do.
No,
have
I mean the archetype, private equity, hedge fund, quant,
hedge funds,
high frequency.
Hedge funds.
So
yes, right.
So someone who's analyzing a stock on a quarter by quarter basis, almost.
That's right. Yep.
That makes
quarter by quarter. Well, faster than quarter by quarter, really.
Sure.
We're working with a lot of quants, so people who are maybe day by day or even faster than that.
Sure.
But yeah, the hedge funds are the target market initially. They are able to solve these problems where they find a single insight that can make billions in a year.
That's interesting. Yeah. And then I imagine that if you go any faster, the customer wants to write their own OCaml, if we're talking about Jane Street. And so it's for specific quant that's looking for, day by day analysis. Interesting.
Yes.
So what is the go-to-market like? I imagine that maybe it's more of like an enterprise software deal. You're actually going outbound, meeting with folks, steak dinners, signing deals, or is this kind of like general sign up on the website?
Both, right? So we are going to people, maybe not steak dinners yet. Don't know if we have that budget, but we certainly are talking to a lot of different companies across industries. But it also is a bottoms up motion. There are a lot of people, myself included, in my past role. I used to be at Citadel. I ran a quant team, so I was very frustrated at the lack of tools like this to help me get from idea to value. So we do have quite a robust set of data scientists, quantitative researchers who are just using the product off the shelf, but we're also making those enterprise sales as well.
That's awesome.
What is, give us your read on the talent wars between the Citadels of the world and the Frontier Labs and now Sphinx, of course, because I'm sure you're competing for.
No, we've gotten people from hedge funds, not from Citadel. I do have a non-solicit, but we have gotten people from other hedge funds, and we have gotten people to take our offer over, say, Anthropic or OpenAI. Look, like it comes down to what you're optimizing for. I think if you're going to these foundation labs, you're betting on AGI, and if you win, good for you. That's a great bet. Hedge funds are betting on almost nothing. I think if the AI bubble pops tomorrow, Citadel will make a hell of a lot of money, and that's great for them. And really, for us, we're focused on our specific application. So it comes down to what you're passionate about. Is it money? Is it AGI? Or is it just like razor sharp focus on solving one problem? And that's who we hire.
What's your take on Microsoft Copilot in Excel? We've talked to probably 4 different companies that are building Excel add-ons. There's that world. How does that fit into your strategy? How are you doing something different, or do you see that on the roadmap? How do you think about that?
Look, like I think Excel has been the tool for data for like however long it's been out there, but we don't see that as being the transformative layer. The kind of serious data work, the kind of data work that makes people billions of dollars, is done on a slightly different stack, a stack that can scale a little bit more, that translates more naturally to production, and we really want to target that. And Excel is easy to use, but what's easier than Excel is writing prompts. So over time, I'm not saying I'm killing Excel today, right? But over time, I see that as kind of becoming a less relevant layer, almost just the interpretability layer on top of something like Sphinx. Actually getting work done in Excel, I feel, is going to become a thing of the past. We're going to be able to build much more serious models with a lot more financial impact.
It's exciting.
How do you charge for Sphinx? Because it feels like the best companies create a lot more value than they capture.
Percent of AUM.
But
just 2% of AUM. Just give me 2% of your AUM, Citadel. We're good.
Yeah, your entire
management I'd love
fee.
that.
Entire management fee. No, but it's like if you help people make money, they're happy to pay you quite a lot for that.
Yeah, look, we don't only work in finance. We're already quite horizontal, and it's very hard for us to tell the exact nature of the value we're delivering. But some of our customers, of course, are open. With others, like hedge funds, they're not going to even tell us what they found. So the kind of way of like capturing that value, it's hard. It's hard for us, but really for us, the focus is on building something transformative. And this is step one. As we're able to get more and more autonomous, and we're able to eventually say, we can solve large scale data problems in a couple seconds fully autonomously, I think the value becomes enormously clear. So we're not overly focused on that right now. Really, right now, we just charge for usage. We want to deliver people something that they use. When they use it, they have to pay us to get that service.
That makes sense. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come talk to us.
Yeah, it was great to meet you.
Congratulations. We'll talk to you soon.
So much. Great meeting you.
Have a great rest of your day. And I will tell you about Wander. Find your happy place. Book a Wander with aspiring views, hotel-grade amenities, dreamy beds, top-tier cleaning, 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better. Our next guest is in the Restream waiting room. Timothy, welcome to TBPN. Fantastic background. How are you doing?
Whoa.
What is behind you? Break it down. Introduce yourself. What are we looking at?
Yeah, guys, good to be on the show. Excited to share what we're doing here at Intramotev. We're building a battery electric autonomous rail car. So when you think of trains going across the country in 2 or 3 mile long strings, we make every single one drive themselves.
No way.
Crazy. Train Maxi.
That's amazing.
We've been waiting for this. This is I think this is the first. We've interviewed hundreds of founders.
I'm blown away. This doesn't seem like something that like give me the why now. Like why didn't this happen 10 years ago? Like you don't have the same problem as Waymo where you have to steer as much, or do you? Like why is this just happening now?
No, it's a great question, and it's a great natural place to start from. And really, rail's out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people, especially when you think about our tech workforce and the people that are trying to solve really hard problems out there. And that's exactly why there's so much opportunity here in rail to do exactly that. Take the technologies that have been pushed forward maybe for a decade on the perception models, the control systems, the electrifications happened in industry, and bring that to rail, and to build a team of tech workers around it. That's really what we're doing here, and it naturally makes sense. You do have fixed infrastructure. You've got track. You've got points of rail that go across the country. You've got 160,000 miles of track, generally utilized at a 3% utilization factor. And all that stuff just stacks up to make this a very logical place to implement these types of technologies first. And we're excited that we're in production. We've got vehicles out in service running for customers every single day.
Wow.
Going to move over 3,500 carloads in production this year. And really just focused on getting America's rail system back on track where it's forefront in the front part of people's minds. And let people know this is an exciting place to come put technology in. It's important for the U.S. economy. It's important for our customer stakeholders in agriculture, energy, mining, any of those places, and just get that supply chain right with rail.
It's fantastic.
When did the idea click for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm an engineer by training. I did my undergrad in South Dakota, did a PhD at Michigan State, and then I went to work in the defense industry. So I went to go work on cruise missiles, fighter jet platforms, a bunch of unmanned systems. And that's really an industry that's been doing some of these things since the 70s in a lot of ways, building systems that can fly themselves. And then 2017 came and everybody was going to fly to work. So I got to build a flying car and a package delivery drone and help build a team of 40 engineers behind that. And then, as many founders know, you got the right co-founder in the team that gets you to go look at something different. And he was doing his MBA at USC, studying supply chain and logistics and looking at rail in 2019. And looking at competitive threats of autonomous trucks, electric trucks, and then came to me and said, what do you think happens if we bring these technologies to rail? And that's really what got us off and running. So we have built a system that's backwards compatible with the existing strengths of rail. So if you think of a 2-mile long train running across the country from the Port of Long Beach to Chicago, we can fit in that train. We can hybridize the whole train and ride along with a large diesel locomotive unit. But really, that 2 miles of stuff isn't consumed in Chicago. You got to break it down and get it to Gary, Indiana, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Peoria, Illinois. And that's really where we can make short trains with the unit economics of those 2-mile long trains. So you can now say, I need 5 cars in Gary. I'm going to cut those 5 cars off, use Intramotiv's products and get it there. And I need 10 cars up in Milwaukee. I'm going to go feed a brewery somewhere. I can cut 10 more cars off and just send them on the unit economics of a short train. And that's really a game-changing paradigm shift for speed and flexibility on rail, and it already has a cost advantage. So that's really how we think about it, and where we build out and where we started is in some places like mining, in plant railroads and facilities just like this one in St. Louis where we're headquartered, and continue to build it out and utilize that infrastructure better.
So you guys have track that runs into your facility?
Yeah, this car is sitting on track. We've got 2 parallel production lines here in St. Louis, and honestly, St. Louis is the right type of place to be for this because we can access all the railroads in the entire country from here. Wow. And it's a hub and spoke model, and we're at one of those hubs in St. Louis, and we can get to all the spokes from here.
Talk about the electrical systems. How do you charge this? Do you swap the battery, or I imagine it takes a ton of time to charge the actual train, or maybe it doesn't? I don't know. Break it down.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the system. So when you think about rail, you think about where it came from. It came from a steam engine in the 1800s, where the smallest power system that they could make was this giant steam locomotive.
Yeah.
But maybe it pulled 10 cars with it at that point.
Yeah.
And that necessitated steel track and steel wheels because of how heavy that system is.
Sure.
It also drove the infrastructure the way it is. So that's why we have these tracks that run across the country. Get 1, 2, 3% better every year for the last 200 years. And now you look at a system where you have a 2 or 3 mile long train. Mm-hmm. But what happened there is that you have the right of ways at all the crossings. You don't start and stop a lot. You go through mountains instead of around them. And all that energy efficiency that goes into that then just makes a battery system actually work pretty well. Mm-hmm. And we granularize it. So we get down to the single car size where we can make a battery pack the size of a Tesla car battery, or I drive a electric truck. So the size of my electric truck battery. And we can actually move 100 tons of freight several hundred miles with that system. And if you want to go further, you just add more of our units and you get really granular. But that leads to us to be able to use level 2 charging infrastructure and a lot of the investments that the automotive industry has done to get those standards up to par, and also not try to recharge what a locomotive would be, which is 50 to 200 megawatts of power on that unit at once.
This is fascinating. What's the state of the company? Like, how big are you guys? Have you raised money? Like, how big is the business?
Yeah, we're in St. Louis here. We've got a 67,000 square foot production facility.
Yeah.
We've raised up to a Series A at this point to fully deploy these assets.
Congrats.
Generally, we're around 50 employees at the moment, with largely engineering coming from automotive, aerospace, and rail. Kind of this perfect mix where you can guarantee something cool is going to come out the other side.
Yeah.
And about 5 years old at this point.
Fantastic progress. Remarkable. Last question from my side. Is there anything that this is obviously like an American reindustrialization project in many ways, but are there any top of mind asks for DC or American lawmakers? Like, if you had a make rail great again agenda, like what would you change? What are you asking for? What do we need to do more of? Just at a high level, what else would help that's maybe just outside of your control?
Yeah, no, I think really we just need to talk about it a little bit more. So people talk about highways, they talk about autonomous trucks, they talk about autonomous cars. It's in the news every single day.
Yeah.
We're getting people to talk about rail and talk about that infrastructure, because in reality, to make rail better, all it is making stuff move more frequently. You don't need a Hyperloop type of technology where you fire packages in a tube. You just need to keep the stuff on the rails moving more frequently. We don't really need to rebuild anything. We just need to unlock that massive network and uncongest it, and we can make this extremely competitive. And our technology positions us to do exactly that. And then from the regulatory perspective, they've been very open to these types of technologies in a really positive way. And we've proven it out in a whole section of the market that's unregulated. So we can just go out there and use those use cases, collect the data that's necessary to get to the regulated use cases from there.
Yep.
And then generate that data that then goes directly to how we would certify these products in a regulated use case.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to come talk to us.
Thank you for train maxing. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Somebody had to do it. We will talk to you soon.
It'll look obvious in hindsight, I think.
Have a great rest of your day.
Awesome.
Talk to you
soon.
soon.
Man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.
Up next, we have Nebius, which was in the news just yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, the Chief Revenue Officer, Marc Boroditsky,
he's the guy that did the deal.
Who certainly would have played a part in this new deal with Microsoft.
We're very excited to bring in Marc from the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him in.
Here
Marc, how are you doing?
Marc, what's happening?
Hey, John. Hey, Jordy. Fantastic to be here today.
Thanks so much
Great
for joining.
to have you. You look like you're in a pretty good mood. Is any reason?
Any good news happened recently?
Oh, man, it's been an exciting week, and I think you already called it out in the wind-up to my showing up. It's extraordinary what's going on at Nebius today.
Give us the high level couple bullet points on the deal this week.
Well, we announced a landmark partnership with Microsoft, one of the leading AI labs that is out there, to support them with AI infrastructure under a 5-year agreement valued at least $17.4 billion with the potential to expand to $19.4 billion.
It's fantastic.
Did you think you could get a deal like that done when you joined? I mean, I have to imagine that you joined roughly 6 months ago, was it?
I joined a little over 3 months ago.
Oh, okay. So maybe the deal was in the works, but it sounds like...
did they see Satya Nadella on the Dwarkesh Patel podcast say, "I'm happy to be a leaser," and you said, "Oh, we'll lease to you"? Was that exactly how it played out? Or I imagine there's probably conversation.
I think it's a little more subtle than that. But
okay, because he really did hold up his hand and say, "Hey, come pitch me," and people did, and you got the deal done. Congrats.
It's extraordinary to have them as a partner. I mean, Microsoft is by itself an amazing company, and for us to be winning the honor is a landmark for the company, and it's helping us to accelerate all of our plans.
Fantastic. Talk about the collection behind you. The chat's calling it out. Crazy Technic.
Those are Legos, man.
Legos.
That's a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and a McLaren, and
Holy Trinity, almost.
That's the Trinity over there. There's another Trinity over there of Land Rover and G-Wagon.
I love it.
I love making the Lego cars.
Those are fantastic.
Give us the state of the company. We've covered Nebius on the show before. We know kind of the backstory, but talk about kind of the kind of more recent history. I'm sure you got up to speed as you joined and first learned about the company.
Well, the company is very laser focused on building the AI infrastructure of choice for startups all the way through enterprises. And we are making big strides against that vision. We continue to support the most innovative startups. As a matter of fact, one of our customers was on your podcast today, Higgsfield, which is amazing company, and very privileged to have them as a customer.
That's fantastic.
Likewise, all the way up to major enterprises like Cloudflare and Shopify.
Wow.
And in all cases, we're helping them to not only service the near-term model creation or early development works that they have, but also helping them to scale their applications and deliver the inference that they need. So it's a very exciting time.
That's fantastic.
What, going forward, you set the bar pretty high here with this recent deal with Microsoft. What's kind of the focus over the next, I guess I'm curious to understand, with the news around Oracle and OpenAI this week, a lot of people were just kind of questioning, like, okay, you're going to build something that's like AWS scale in a very short amount of time here. That seems pretty challenging. How much is a lot of the effort at Nebius really around just like scaling infrastructure and knowing that the demand is there, but it's just like you have to build that capacity?
Well, we've always had the vision, and Arkady, our CEO, has said it for a long time, that we would do some of these super lab deals. Today's market, it happens to be a fantastic opportunity, but we believe in the fullness of time, the real opportunity is more along the lines of what you described, which is delivering the AWS equivalent for AI. And that's where the priority is right now focused. So continuing to build out our software stack, being able to cater to that, single engineer that's trying to build something from scratch that signs up with our self-service experience, and then being there with them as they scale and their needs expand. At the same time, we're pursuing all of the other high-scale AI consuming customers out there. And we think that the next several years are going to be a crazy time as capacity supply is being chased by a lot of different people. But ultimately, the long term, the $100 billion plus business opportunity is servicing the equivalent of the hyperscaler requirements for the new class of AI customer.
Friend of the show, Dylan Patel over at SemiAnalysis, gave you guys a gold medal in the Cluster Max ranking of GPU clouds. Give us one layer deeper in terms of how you frame what Nebius does best uniquely among the competitive landscape. SemiAnalysis called you gold, but I'm sure there's a lot more details of how you stand out.
Well, we're delivering the software tier that's giving the AI engineer the tools for them to operate a small or large cluster or multiple clusters as they see fit, and we're seeing more and more of that. We give the AI engineer the tooling to create a model and optimize a model, and we put at their fingertips all the open source models. We give the AI engineer the ability to conduct their training and retraining capabilities, and through our AI Studio solutions, we also give them the ability to deliver inference. So you can think of it as a full spectrum set of AI capabilities for the AI engineer. We're going to continue to innovate and add to those capabilities. So you can think about all the adjacent spaces that the AI engineer is likely to need to tap, from data pipelines to repositories to who knows what comes next. But our intention is to be fully catering to that AI engineer and being able to serve them, whether they're in a small company or a large organization.
Yeah. How does the future of the actual inference API business look? Is that is that more of a focus for growth versus going more of the construction and real estate route and building mega projects versus creating like a fantastic API? Do you want to do both? What does the next couple of years look like?
I mean, the simple answer is we're going to do both.
Okay.
And the reality is at the foundation is we're chasing demand.
Yeah.
So today there is a fair amount of construction taking place. So being there for all of these new model development and retraining requirements is critical. As those projects and customers move into real production, inference is picking up, and we're seeing it. The redistribution as people succeed is very real. And the fullness of time, what we should all want, and this is thinking about it from the standpoint is end customers or investors, is we want to see all of these projects turn into inference driven, because that means that they're actually in production being utilized by hopefully commercially paying customers somewhere.
Makes sense.
Real value.
Well, congratulations on the deal. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Great to catch up, Mark. Congrats on.
Pleasure to be here today. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
We got to get more Legos around the studio.
We do.
I was envious there.
I mean, Tyler's over there just waiting to put them together.
That's right.
He just needs a time trial.
Assembly line over here.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, we have
Michael from Figure.
From Figure.
Coming in from the Restream waiting room. Michael, how you doing? Good to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
We're great.
We're great. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Big
I'm
day.
Good.
Big day.
I'm good.
Just another day at the office?
Yeah, no, look, big day for Figure, big day for all the employees. Super proud of what we were able to accomplish. So it's been awesome.
Take us through the story. What happened?
So today was our IPO.
Fantastic.
You
rang the bell? Didn't ring
the bell? Yep, rang the bell. So actually when you do that NASDAQ,
you can ring the bell.
When you do that NASDAQ, you don't ring the bell, you push the button to open the market.
Okay.
All digital.
All digital.
It's digital. But, we're blockchain, so we like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so it's been about a 6-month process, getting ready. You do a bunch of meetings, testing the waters, they call it now. So from my understanding, IPOs have changed a bit since COVID, and now more is virtual, more is done up front, and there's actually a little bit less pressure on the roadshow itself, which was kind of a learning for me. But let's talk a bit about Figure.
Please. Yeah, what was the story about the position of the company? Why now of the IPO? Take us through kind of the roadshow narrative.
Yeah, I think folks were focused on probably 3 things. One is rare combination of growth and profitability, and we have both of those, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think number 2 is just huge market.
Yep.
So we're in a $185 billion TAM. Basically, we are standardizing all of private credit, starting with mortgage. We also do crypto-backed loan, a few other things like that, and we're standardizing those rails on blockchain. And then I think, lastly, we are one of the few companies that adds value with blockchain into the real world. So we're in kind of the real world asset space, which also is called tokenization. We're the market leader in debt for that. We're about 75% market share.
Wow.
And so what we do is we partner with about 170 really well-recognized brands that work with us to originate or tokenize assets, put them on a capital market that's all based on blockchain. And what it does is it ultimately saves a ton of cost and time and just improves both the investor experience and the consumer experience.
Yeah, take us through a case study of one of those brands that you work with, and walk me through some of the value or the differentiated benefits of being in the crypto world. Is it just access to international capital, speed of transactions? You can move money around on the weekends, nights and weekends. Is it regulatory hurdles or being able to access certain markets? Walk me through all that.
Yeah, no, happy to. I think to start, I'd take something like Houzz, just given the audience. I feel like people are probably familiar with them.
Sure.
They are a kind of housing and home design marketplace.
Yeah.
And normally somebody like Houzz would not really want to get involved in the loan origination process or really be comfortable with like mortgage or anything of that nature. But because Figure is so simple to embed, in Houzz's case, we work with an API, we can kind of integrate with them and help their end customers take equity out of their homes for things like home improvement and financing contractors and pools and those types of things. And so what we actually do in the process is we take the attributes of the loan that Houzz is coordinating, and those are hashed on a blockchain at once up front, and then as the loans move throughout the capital markets, there's way less checking and confirming of those details because people can just verify it on blockchain. And so what we actually do in doing so is we save about $11,000 of cost out of the production process out of 12. So it's a really big savings, and we can do it in 5 days versus industry average of 45. So it's a pretty material difference.
It's so funny because like the very like popular like anti-crypto take is like, oh well, you could just do this in a database with like Python, and high frequency trading doesn't need a blockchain to trade stocks really fast during the market open. But like I just paid off a car loan, and like I'm waiting on the title, and I have to like go to an app and like text with somebody. It's gonna take me like weeks to just get that, and it's like, okay, yeah, like that other path is not happening, and it's been years of like we would like to speed up the normal rails, and it just hasn't happened. So yeah, raised a ton of money in the IPO. What does that do? What does that change about the company now that there's more cash on the balance sheet? What was the structure of the deal and like the rationale for that amount?
Yeah, it's interesting. So one thing to point out is with, at Figure, I'm working alongside Mike Cagney, who was also worked with me when I was at SoFi. So he was the CEO there. Sure. I was chief revenue officer. Yep. Here I'm CEO. He's chairman. Yep. And together back at SoFi, we actually raised the largest private capital raise at that time in 2015. It was $1 billion from SoftBank. Yeah. No way. What it did was it really catalyzed SoFi's growth over the years. Yeah. And if you look back, that was one of the big differentiators. And I think it's one of the reasons why SoFi is such a big company today. Yep. It really stood out amongst its fintech peers. And so I think from that background, this IPO is similar. It's going to be a major catalyst for Figure's growth. It's a big opportunity for us to really raise a lot of capital, come out as a market leader, use that to seed out the marketplaces that we've been doing, right? Figure actually started direct to consumer, then went embedded B2B, then went pure marketplace. And you need capital to do that, to show leadership position and to keep adding to that 170 partner base that we have and we're really proud of.
What are your lessons from the kind of the SPAC era, the 2021 era? SoFi is like one of the examples that we keep coming back to as a company that has performed really well. Stocks trading at $26 today. Obviously went out at 10. I think it's at all-time highs, doing very well. $30 billion company. It's no joke. And
yeah, I joined with 75 people.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. But I mean, obviously there were a lot of different decisions that were made at that time. What lessons are you looking at 2021, seeing anything now, and deciding any structure of the business or decision making currently based on what you learned during the last cycle?
I'm glad you asked, because it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. I feel that post kind of 21 and what happened with SPACs, a lot of people became very negative on going public. Yep. And I don't have it all figured out. This is our first day. Yeah. But that said, I do think from going through the process that going public is something that companies should consider. I found the markets to be receptive. Yeah. I thought, there's a big premium on growth. And I think in the tech world that we all live in, everyone's so used to growth, but you meet these kind of investors and the pantheon of investments they can make. Yep. When you're growing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%, that's just so impressive and unusual. And so there's a lot of excitement. And I do feel that in the case of, and in the wake of what happened with 21 and that hangover, people soured on the public market and everyone thought, let's not do it. And of course, there's obviously drawbacks, and there's definitely going to be days where I'm going to think, this is a challenge. But at the same time, I found the capital market to be very receptive. And I also found it to be a great branding exercise and really a great way to kind of get liquidity for shareholders. So I do think that ultimately it's something that people should consider and not necessarily be afraid of what happened in 21, because there are cycles. And I think that's just part of the US capital markets. And it's frankly one of the reasons why we're excited about blockchain and its ability to continue to add value and disrupt in some ways.
Yeah.
What's the 10-year vision?
Yeah. So right now we are just about 35 basis points of private credit in terms of our market share. So even though we're a big, rapidly growing company, we do see, we've started by standardizing the mortgage process on blockchain, in particular using our integration between the origination system and the capital market, which really has never existed before, right? Everyone's doing their own thing. I see Ramp, for example, sponsoring this podcast. I have background at Brex. Those are two companies that are both building separate capital markets and separate underwriting processes, whereas if Figure had existed when both started, they could both be on Figure, just as an example. And so for us, we started in mortgage, we started standardizing and homogenizing those assets and making them tradable on a blockchain. We can do the same across every single private credit asset class and beyond. So we're really in the early innings.
Makes a ton of sense. It's exciting.
Very cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you for for making time.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time
on the big day for you and the team. And little celebration is in order. Take feel free to take back to work tomorrow. But
got it. Well, I'm a big fan of you guys, so really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
And it's an honor to be here. So thanks so much for having me.
Come back on anytime. Whenever you want.
We'll talk to you soon.
Right. After that, I guess when does your quiet period start? Is it?
Well, not until earnings.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, cool. Fantastic. We'll coordinate. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Congrats.
And that concludes the guest section of TBPN Thursday, September 11th, 2025, live back from the TBPN Ultradome.
Gary Marcus hit the timeline with the article Peak Bubble.
Peak Bubble.
It's hard to see how this won't end badly. He says, and he starts the post by sharing the Tulip Mania Wikipedia.
He famously, so the deep learning is hitting a wall now.
Yeah.
Calling
he said, I don't know when the Gen AI bubble will end, but this has got to be peak bubble. And he's highlighting the Oracle OpenAI signed $300 billion cloud deal. And he said, in short, OpenAI doesn't have $300 billion. They don't have anywhere near $300 billion by their own.
That's not how that works, but
optimistic projection. They won't turn a profit. Yeah, well, obviously we can steel man for OpenAI and Oracle, but by their own presumably optimistic projection, they won't turn a profit until 2030. And all of this is from a company that thought or claimed that GPT-5 was going to be close to AGI. For good measure, Oracle doesn't have the chips they would need to fulfill the contracts or even the cash to buy them. I won't say this is all make-believe, but, well, you do the math. He says, if Oracle actually collects its $300 billion, I will be truly astounded. And Martin Shkreli commented on the original post and said, do you want to short OpenAI at a $500 billion market cap, which I think is
the expression.
Interesting question.
Yep.
Right. And yeah.
But that's not even necessarily the take that we've been debating, which is not necessarily OpenAI. It's Oracle. Is Oracle overheated because of this deal? Like Gary Marcus's claim is that Oracle will not draw all that $300 billion down on schedule, and if they fail to pull that backlog through, then that would be a cause for concern potentially. Anyway, I wonder what Warren Buffett has to say about all this. Did you see that he was at the 30th birthday party for Squawk Box yesterday?
No way.
He was hanging out with Jim Cramer, yeah.
We were hanging out with Jim Cramer
I know.
yesterday. I didn't realize it was the 30th birthday.
It's the 30th anniversary of Squawk on CNBC.
That's
Happy
amazing.
Birthday to everyone over there. And
we got to briefly hang with Jim yesterday.
Yeah.
He is incredibly fun to talk to.
Yes.
Exactly like he is.
He's fantastic.
On air.
Encyclopedic knowledge of stock prices. Can just go back, oh yeah, in 2015, Broadcom was at this price, and just rattles it off to the cents. It's remarkable. He knows his stuff.
Such a legend.
I'm
honestly jealous of his engagement hack, which is by people believing that he always gets trades wrong.
Yes.
Which is just like fundamentally not.
Yeah, it's not true at all.
Not true. They constantly engage with his post no matter what he said. So it's like a way to get like, a bunch of real accounts to drive like real engagement.
Yes.
And you can imagine he gets an incremental 5-10 times the impressions because people are just like
100%.
Quoting it, commenting, things like that. But a master at what he does and a great entertainer.
Tyler, what was your reaction to either this or Gary Marcus's post?
Well, I think for this, I think maybe a good segment we should start doing is right after Founder comes on, you just immediately say long, short.
Oh, yeah, that'll make everyone super happy. They will love that.
And then also regarding the Gary Marcus thing, I think there's that joke about Michael Burry where it's like he's predicted 8 of the last 2 like market crashes.
Totally.
I think there's something there.
Yep.
You're saying this time's different?
I think Gary Marcus has said many times, like, "Oh, this is the end."
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, just look at the fund returns, I guess. But he doesn't have a fund, so you just kind of have to the nature of investing puts your thesis in extremely concrete terms. Like, you are short to what degree? Are you long? Are you going long with leverage right now? Maybe you're 60% long and 40% bonds. Like, you can be a variety of risk levels. You don't need to be purely I'm bullish or bearish. You can be anywhere in between that. You can be 100x levered long to 100x levered short. Like, you can take wild swings in either direction. So you can express like, I'm not feeling great about this particular valuation in a bunch of different ways. And as a pundit, I mean, someone in the chat was asking about the inverse Kramer. It is a meme. It's an ETF. It's done somewhat well in various times. I've seen a whole bunch of different reports where someone tried to take every single one of Kramer's calls, put it into a spreadsheet and see how it would perform. But it's very hard because if he says, I'm bullish on this company, he doesn't necessarily revisit that company every day to tell you when he would sell. So he could say, like, we watched that Apple interview and he says, I love Apple. It's a stock you own. You don't trade it. And so, like, how much credit are we giving him for his Apple call? Like, at some point 5 years later, he might have seen earnings and been like, oh, Apple's in trouble. And then they quantize that as like he's flipped bearish. When really it's like he didn't necessarily say sell Apple. He just said like this data point is negative. And so there's a bunch of ways that it becomes difficult to actually understand, like, if the mind of Jim Cramer was actually running a fund actively, what would the return profile be? The other interesting thing is that there was one analysis that did look at all of his buy and sell ratings. They tried to get as close as possible to like what it would look like to just take every recommendation and put it in a portfolio. And they found that it did actually outperform the market, but it outperformed the market when the market was going up, and it underperformed the market when the market was going down, because it was effectively like beta on. It wasn't producing alpha; it was producing beta, and that sort of makes sense in terms of the content creator world, because when things are going up, it lends itself to enthusiasm, and when things are going down, it lends itself to misery. And so I don't know. Overall, nice guy, and hard to perfectly quantize the value of a call on live TV. Anyway, Jordy, anything else we should talk about before we get off?
Nepal.
Yes.
The Gen Z of Nepal overthrew the government and have chosen their new leader via poll on a Discord server.
That is wild. So, they overthrew the government? That is crazy.
Yeah, it's been crazy over there.
I don't know anything about
crazy,
Nepal, really.
crazy time in the world.
Interesting. Well, we will keep monitoring the situation. Hopefully you can monitor the situation, and we will see you tomorrow.